Hey, friends and neighbors, a very special message for you this morning. Here we are, getting close to the end of the year already, and two things at this time of the year that all of us think about. Number one, taxes. Yeah, if you're like me and Carol, this is when you line up your favorite causes, your favorite organizations. You want to be sure to get those checks into them before the end of the year. Number one, because you like supporting good causes, but number two, because you like being able to take advantage of the tax deductions before the end of the year. And when you're thinking about your favorite causes, think Free Speech TV. Look, we depend on it, depend on you. Free Speech TV, as you know, gets no corporate money, no government money. All of our funding comes from our viewers. It's just as simple. We wouldn't be here without your support. So we ask you to step up to the plate again here at the end of the year. And the other thing, of course, people think about in December are gifts. Gifts to yourself, gifts to your friends. We can combine the two. For a pledge to Free Speech TV, we'll send you gifts that you can consider end-of-the-year gifts to yourself or someone special to you. Here's how. For $120 pledge, which is $10 a month, think of it that way, copies of two great books. My latest one, The Obama Hate Machine, all about the Koch brothers and all the evil they're doing, plus a copy of Joe Cirincione, one of our favorite guests here on the Bill Press Show, Joe Cirincione's latest book from the Plowshares Fund, Nuclear Nightmares. If you can pledge $240 a month, that's $240 a year, $20 a month. The three of the favorite books that I read this year. One about Congress, Norm Ornstein's It's Worse Than It Looks. This one, my favorite science writer, Mary Roach, and her book called Bunk, The Curious Coupling of Science and Sex. Woohoo! And thirdly, my favorite mystery writer, Michael Dibdin, writes books about Italy. My favorite is Blood Rain, which takes place in Sicily. And then for $360 a month, a real special deal, and exclusive copies of 3 interviews that I conducted here at the Hill Center in Washington, D.C., 1 hour each with Mark Leibovich from the New York Times, Bishop Gene Robinson, and Senator Mary Landrieu. And for those of you who can make a very special pledge to Free Speech TV of $1,000, an extraordinary gift, here it is. Scarf, just like this one, a hand-woven scarf. This is rayon chenille. It could also be in bamboo, done by the greatest weaver in the world, my wife, Carol Press. So if you can help us, please, we love bringing you the show every day. I love getting up early in the morning, having the first crack at news and commentary with you, bringing in the best guests that we can get for you. Our regulars, Arthur Delaney, Igor Volsky, Congressman Chris Holland, other members of Congress. But again, we couldn't be here on Free Speech TV, couldn't be here with Tom Hartman and Amy Goodman, David Packman, and Ring of Fire without your help. We depend on it. So please give us a call at 877-378-8669.
I wish I was in school.
If only I had a math test today.
Or a book report to give.
I wish I was in school.
I'll stay after class. I'll clean the chalkboard. I'll do extra homework. I'll skip recess.
I wish I was in school.
I wish I was in school.
I really wish I was in school.
School ends, but free lunches for your kids don't have to. Find your local food bank at feedingamerica.org/summer meals for help. Together, we're feeding America.
When some people struggle with their mortgage payments, they become frozen, petrified. Not knowing what to do, they do nothing. But the people who take action are far more likely to get the most positive outcome. Making home affordable is a free government program. Call now to talk one-on-one with a housing expert about the options that are right for you. Real help, real answers, right now.
A single ember that escapes from a wildfire can travel more than a mile. That single ember can ignite and destroy your home or even your community. You can't control where that ember will land, only what happens when it does. Get Fire Adapted now at fireadapted.org.
Broadcasting around the nation, on your radio, on your TV, and online. This is the Bill Press Show.
On healthcare, a defiant President Obama says we are not going back to the way things used to be. Good morning, everybody. What do you say? Nice to see you this morning. It's Wednesday, December 4. This is the Bill Press Show. We are coming to you live all across this great land of ours, coast to coast on your local progressive talk radio station. Great to see you this morning. And, of course, we are that kind of hybrid. We are a radio show you can also watch on TV if you've got a satellite dish at Free Speech TV on the Direct TV network, Dish Network, or Direct TV, Free Speech TV. And if you like to sit in front of your computer and follow the news while you're listening on your radio, you can also watch our video stream at TawkrTV, TawkrTV, youtube.com/TawkrTV. However you're there, whether you're listening, which most of you are on your local radio station, or watching on Free Speech or TawkrTV, it's good to have you with us this morning here in the middle of the week as we bring you up to date on the news of the day, most of it here from our nation's capital, Washington, D.C. That's where you'll find us, right in the heart of the action, just down the street from the United States Capitol building and our studio on Capitol Hill. We'll tell you what's going on here around the country, around the globe. Most importantly, we'll give you a chance to tell us what it all means to you and to your family, to your friends, to your community, and to you personally. Do so by giving us a call at 866-55-PRESS. Send us your comments on Twitter at BP Show and on Facebook at facebook.com/BillPressShow. Get your comments into the team here, led by Peter Ogburn, of course. Hello, Peter. Good morning.
Hey.
With your new sidekick and assistant producer, Elisa Murphy.
You got it.
Alicia Cruz is here waiting for your calls to put you through and get you on the air. And it is, if we're looking good on the video stream, thanks to Cyprian Bolding, our videographer extraordinaire, on the job again this morning. It's hard to believe, but it is here. In fact, tonight, the White House Correspondents Association, our group of White House reporters, we have our holiday party.
Oh, wow.
Yes. Or I guess I can't call it our holiday party. It's the war on Christmas.
That's right.
It's our Christmas party.
That's right.
Yes. Downtown at the Marriott Hotel. And last night was the lighting of the Capitol Christmas tree, the one in front of the United States Capitol. The White House Christmas tree on the Ellipse will be lit. I think it's Thursday or Friday.
Tomorrow night, yeah, Thursday night.
Thursday night, right. And the honors last night went to Speaker John Boehner.
3, 2, 1. Good job.
Yeah. Good job. All right. Yeah, the spirit of the moment.
It sounds like he got sick.
Oh, like he threw up.
He's that sad, and he's that terrible with the Christmas spirit. Just okay.
Yeah,
right.
Tannenbaum. And what is Christmas all about? John Boehner.
Glory to God in the highest, and on earth peace and goodwill toward men. That, in the words of a great philosopher, is what Christmas is all about, Charlie Brown.
Don't you think these days he would add men and women?
You'd think, right?
You'd
Yeah.
think, you know what I mean? Charlie Brown.
There are also some people.
That's what Christmas. I'd like to know what Bill O'Reilly thinks about that.
That's right.
Yeah. You want to know what Christmas is all about? You asked. Charlie Brown.
Charlie Brown.
Right. Yeah.
There are also some people who are just really good at these type of events.
He's not.
John Boehner ain't one of them.
No, he is not one of them. As he proved when he said again, remember, this is the real spirit of Christmas.
Slowly we come to recognize it's not so much about the telling of the story as it is about the serving of the story. And what emerges is a spirit of giving and a message of hope for all seasons.
Yeah, hello? Hello? Yeah.
Okay.
Not so much the telling of the story as the serving of this.
I think he was overserved. Speaking of serving.
You know, you're supposed to go to Alberto's after you light the Christmas tree, not before, right? Okay.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Yeah, that's the problem.
That's his problem.
All right. Hey,
good job. Good job.
Good job. Coming up today, well, we can't be too hard on him because he is there always ready for us to sing the birthday song whenever we need him.
He's standing by whenever you want him. Maybe not now, but we'll have him.
About Jesus' birthday.
That's
right. So
good point.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah, good point.
You know what he should have said? And we remember here's what Christmas is all about, the baby Jesus.
This is your birthday song. It doesn't last too long. Hey!
Hey!
Good job. Okay.
There we go. Hey, coming up, Congressman John Yarmouth from Kentucky will be here in studio with us. Looking forward to that. And David Jackson joining us, as he's been doing pretty regularly every Wednesday morning from the White House. He covers the White House for USA Today. And how about this? Picasso will be here. Yep. You heard it right. Picasso will be here on the show live. Live. Yes.
Wow.
Not Pablo.
Oh, okay.
His grandson, though. Olivier.
That's pretty cool.
That's pretty cool. Olivier Picasso. Something very exciting you may want very much want to be part of. And Congress running out of time, but some of them don't really care. But first,
this is the Full Court Press.
Just a couple of other stories making news. 2 security guards at Houston's Reliant Stadium were both fired after they snapped photos with Patriots quarterback Tom Brady following the Patriots win over Texas on Sunday. Immediately after snapping the photo, a supervisor on duty came over and fired them right on the spot. Although contractually the guards are not supposed to approach the players, both guards say that employees do it frequently, and they believe that they are being singled out because they got their picture taken with the opposing team. Their security company, CSC, stood by their decision to terminate the 2 employees who violated their policy.
That seems a little extreme to me, particularly this time of year.
I don't disagree with you at all, no. I think
come on.
That's one of the perks of getting behind the scenes there.
No, exactly. That's what people do, you know, unfortunately, treating athletes as celebrities.
Yeah. What was the biggest story of 2013? According to Yahoo, the most searchable moment of the entire year was...
Oh, my God. No, I'd have to think back. It's all a fuzzy memory now, 2013. What happened in 2013? Well,
this is not
healthcare. The website crashed.
Okay, well, Obamacare came in at number 6, and these are the most searchable things on Yahoo.
Got it. Yeah.
Number 6 was Obamacare. Number 1 was Miley Cyrus twerking on the stage of the MTV Music Awards.
Give me a break.
More people search for that than anything else.
Then the American people get what they deserve.
There you go. And Delta Airlines pissed off some travelers in Gainesville. They opted to cancel a passenger plane to accommodate the Florida Gators basketball team. The team's chartered flight had been grounded due to mechanical errors, and Delta flight was scheduled to leave at 3:26, and some of the passengers were delayed until the next day because they put the basketball team on the plane that the passengers were supposed to take. One passenger said that others had to be driven to airports in Jacksonville, Orlando, and Tampa to catch alternate flights. So next time your flight is delayed, just think it might be your favorite sports team getting on there.
It would no longer be my favorite sports team, nor my favorite airline.
No. It's one of the guys that was supposed to be on the plane was on his way to a funeral, and he missed the funeral because the flight got all screwed up.
Lawsuit.
Right.
Yeah, here we go. Yes, indeed, Congress is back in town. You could hardly know it. But they came back with a lot on their plate, a lot that could be done this year. We could be talking about a farm bill. We could be talking about immigration reform. We could be talking about the important bill to end discrimination in the workplace against LGBT members of the LGBT community. We could be talking about a budget deal. We're probably talking about none of the above because, in fact, Congress, so they came in Monday. They were here yesterday as well. That means they now have, are you ready for this? For the rest of the year, 6 more days scheduled to work. The House of Representatives. 6 more days in December. That's all they got, all the time that they've got left. By the way, when they say a working day scheduled, for example, Monday was a working day. They went into session at 6:30 at night, didn't work all day long. 6:30 at night, they had one vote, which was a procedural vote, basically saying they called the roll. And the reason they did is because therefore they get paid, they get extra money for being here in Washington. So that's a work day. So when you say 6 more work days, they're work days like that where they don't do a damn thing. And we already see, it's been widely reported now that this Congress, the 112th Congress, will go down in history as the least productive Congress ever, right, since the founding of this republic. Not only that, it's going to set another record. The year 2013 will go down as the least productive single year ever in the history of the Congress. And, I guess one question is, do the American people really care? Do the American people really give a damn? We'll get to that in just a minute. But certainly the other question is, why would it be this way? There's no doubt why this is the least productive Congress ever. Congressman Chris Van Hollen from Maryland's 8th Congressional District, who is the ranking Democrat on the House Budget Committee, one of the Democratic leaders in the House, was here in studio with us yesterday. And I asked him about that, and he said very clearly, here's why this Congress isn't getting anything done.
It's a sad state of affairs, and there's no justifying this sad state of affairs. Well, you can look to see what the problem is. I mean, you've got a Tea Party that has the House of Representatives in lockdown right now and preventing us from moving forward on major pieces of legislation.
And Congressman Van Hollen said, look, there's no doubt it doesn't have to be this way. We could change it like that.
You could dramatically change that record in 24 hours if Speaker Boehner would simply allow democracy to work its will in the House of Representatives. We could pass a comprehensive immigration bill that passed on a bipartisan basis out of the Senate. We could pass the bipartisan farm bill that came out of the United States Senate before the House of Representatives decided to gut the food and nutrition programs by $40 billion and threw that whole process into disarray. We could immediately pass legislation to prevent discrimination against gays in the workplace. We could do that bill in 24 hours if the Speaker would simply allow the House to vote.
And only, in other words, there's one man who stands in the way, one man who refuses to stand up to the Tea Party, one man responsible for the least productive Congress ever. That is John Boehner. So he was asked about it yesterday by reporters, and he said, hey, don't blame us. Blame those guys over there.
Both the House and Senate have to do their jobs. The House continues to do its job. It's time for the Senate to get serious about doing theirs.
And Boehner says, just look at how many bills we passed.
Well, when you look at the number of bills passed by the House and the paltry number of bills passed by the Senate, you can see where the problem is.
Yeah, you know what Boehner's doing? That's so crazy. What he's counting is like 45 bills that they passed to repeal Obamacare, none of which went anywhere. At the same time, the Senate may not have passed a flurry of meaningless, stupid, going-nowhere bills, but they passed the big stuff. They passed bipartisan vote a farm bill. They passed by a big bipartisan vote an immigration bill. They passed with a big bipartisan vote a gun safety bill. They passed with a big bipartisan vote a budget bill, which is locked down in the House and can't get anywhere. And they passed an employment ending come on, Bill. Employment ending discrimination in the workplace, or ENDA. All of those substantive bills have passed the Senate and are getting no action in the House because John Boehner won't stand up to the Tea Party and lets the Tea Party rule. So I guess my question today is, there's the facts, folks. There's the facts. My really question to you is, does anybody give a damn? Do American people really care? Or do they want a Congress that doesn't do anything? Because it's got to change. And I think the way it's got to change, and that's the other question I could ask you, how do you think it's going to change? I think it's pretty clear. You need two things. Number one, you need people elected to the Congress who come not to shut down the government, but to make the government work the best it can for the greatest number of Americans, particularly for middle-class Americans. And sure, I would rather they be Democrats, but I don't care if they're Democrats or Republicans. You know, I'm not saying they all have to be Democrats. We just need people, Democrats and Republicans, who come here to solve problems and to work together to make this a better country. And then we need a speaker with a set of balls. We need a speaker who will stand up to the Tea Party. Do the American people care? The American people don't care and don't go out and get rid of some of these Tea Party people. It's never going to change. You know the number, 866-55-PRESS. Let's talk about it.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Hey, good morning, everybody. What do you say? Nice to see you today. I got to tell you a funny story. So, I was on vacation a week or so ago and met up with a couple. We were chatting over dinner one night, and the guy said to me, so, obviously, you're retired. And I said, what? I'm not retired. I said, what? You think because I've got gray hair, I'm retired? No way. I'm not going to retire because I love what I'm doing, and I really do. Look, having to get up so early to do this show is no fun, but doing the show is something that I just look forward to every single day. I mean, it's great fun getting up, getting on top of the news, having the first crack at the news every day, being able to line up all of our guests, the best guests we can find to bring to you, and then hearing from you all over the country, your calls, your comments on the news of the day. It's just the best job, I think, in the world. And it's especially great, and I especially love now, being able to do this job on Free Speech TV and joining such giants in broadcasting as Tom Hartman and Amy Goodman and the good friends over at Michael Papantonio and the others at Ring of Fire. And it's all on Free Speech TV, the kind of hard-hitting, independent, uncensored news and commentary that you get nowhere else. That's the value of Free Speech TV. But of course, without any government funding, without any corporate funding, we depend on you to keep us going here at Free Speech TV. We work only for you. And so once again, we turn here at the end of the year to ask for your help, because without your help, we would not be on the air. And now at the end of the year is a good time to do it, because you not only help us and help everybody at Free Speech TV, but you help yourself by getting that good tax deduction. As a little incentive to help us out, a couple things to keep in mind. If you can help us with $10 a month, $120 a year, we will give you a copy of two great books. My latest one, The Obama Hate Machine, all about the Koch brothers, and Joe Cirincione, frequent guest here on the Bill Press Show, his latest book, Nuclear Nightmares, a real great book. For $20 a month, $240 a year, we'll give you three of the favorite books that I read this year, all in paperback. Norm Ornstein's book about Congress, It's Worse Than It Looks. This great little book about science by Mary Roach called Bonk, The Curious Coupling of Science and Sex. And Michael Dibdin, great mystery writer. All of his mysteries take place in Sicily. In Italy, one of my favorites is Blood Rain, that takes place in Sicily. And for those of you who can offer $360 a year or $30 a month, we'll give you three exclusive 1-hour interviews that I've conducted at the Hill Center here in Washington, D.C. And beyond that, If you're fortunate enough to be able to help free speech with $1,000, you can get one of these beautiful Carol Press scarves. So give us a call, make your pledge at 877-378-8669. Thank you.
At Earth Justice, we defend the environment in the courtroom. Join our fight. When you take a seat, you take a stand. Earth Justice, because the Earth needs a good lawyer.
This is the Bill Press Show.
26 minutes after the hour, we were talking about this Do Nothing Congress and whether the American people care enough to get out and make a change in 2014 or just let it go and let the Tea Party continue to rule. By the way, our interview, the entire interview, half an hour with Congressman Chris Van Hollen, is up on TawkrTV. That's one of the advantages of TawkrTV. You can watch the entire program any time of the day or any program for the last 2 or 3 months just by going to TawkrTV and pulling up out of the archives. And the entire interview with Congressman Chris Van Hollen about this Do Nothing Congress is up on TawkrTV. Again, youtube.com/TawkrTV. What do you think about this? Darlene out in Hancock, Michigan. Hey, Darlene, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, what do you think?
I'm saying that, Bill, we need more people like you to repeat what you just said about the American people care so much, but they have to hear it more often and be reminded of it on how Speaker Boehner will not do anything.
Yeah.
You know?
No, absolutely. And
it's very upsetting.
Right.
Yes.
And it just shows, Darlene, again, when these Tea Party people come to Washington, they come for the purpose of shutting the government down. They come for the purpose of proving that government cannot do anything and can't work. And they're the last people, again, Republicans or Democrats, we want people here to solve problems. Ali is calling from Black River Falls, Wisconsin. Hey, good morning.
Good morning, sir. This is my second call. Last week, I was honored again to be in this program, in this show.
Well, welcome back. What's your point?
My point is, now we are making complaints about Speaker Boehner, how useless he is, or who he serves, or, it's completely useless house. But this is little bit, my opinion, it is completely anger of the American people, we voters. In 2008, we had the presidency, the House, the Senate.
Yeah, Ali, I'm sorry. I appreciate the call, but I don't get your point at all.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Hey, good morning, everybody. What do you say? Nice to see you today. I got to tell you a funny story. So, I was on vacation a week or so ago and met up with a couple. We were chatting over dinner one night, and the guy said to me, so, obviously, you're retired. And I said, what? I'm not retired. I said, what? You think because I've got gray hair, I'm retired? No way. I'm not going to retire because I love what I'm doing, and I really do. Look. Having to get up so early to do this show is no fun, but doing the show is something that I just look forward to every single day. I mean, it's great fun getting up, getting on top of the news, having the first crack at the news every day, being able to line up all of our guests, the best guests we can find to bring to you, and then hearing from you all over the country, your calls, your comments on the news of the day. It's just the best job, I think, in the world. And it's especially great And I especially love now being able to do this job on Free Speech TV and joining such giants in broadcasting as Tom Hartman and Amy Goodman and the good friends over at Michael Papantonio and the others at Ring of Fire. And it's all on Free Speech TV, the kind of hard-hitting, independent, uncensored news and commentary that you get nowhere else. That's the value of Free Speech TV. But of course, you know, without any government funding, without any corporate funding, we depend on you to keep us going here at Free Speech TV. We work only for you. And so once again, we turn here at the end of the year to ask for your help, because without your help, we would not be on the air. And now at the end of the year is a good time to do it, because you not only help us and help everybody at Free Speech TV, but you help yourself by getting that good tax deduction. As a little incentive to help us out, a couple things to keep in mind. If you can help us with $10 a month, $120 a year, we will give you a copy of two great books. My latest one, The Obama Hate Machine, all about the Koch brothers, and Joe Cirincione, frequent guest here on the Bill Press Show, his latest book, Nuclear Nightmares, a real great book. For $20 a month, $240 a year, we'll give you three of the favorite books that I read this year, all in paperback. Norm Ornstein's book about Congress, It's Worse Than It Looks. This great little book about science by Mary Roach called Bonk, The Curious Coupling of Science and Sex. And Michael Dibdin, great mystery writer. All of his mysteries take place in Sicily. In Italy, one of my favorites is Blood Rain, that takes place in Sicily. And for those of you who can offer $360 a year or $30 a month, we'll give you 3 exclusive 1-hour interviews that I've conducted at the Hill Center here in Washington, D.C. And beyond that, if you're fortunate enough to be able to help Free Speech with $1,000, you can get one of these beautiful Carol Press scarves. So give us a call, make your pledge at 877-378-8669. Thank you.
You wouldn't let money just blow out of your house. So when your AC or heater is on, make sure the doors, windows, and fireplace flue are shut tight. If you're headed out, turn down the AC or lower the heat by 10 degrees. And always keep your water heater set at 120. A little bit of common sense goes a long way. Get more great tips at energysaver.gov.
Streaming live video right now at youtube.com/TawkrTV. That's TAWKR-TV. This is The Bill Press Show.
How about it? 33 minutes after the hour. It is The Bill Press Show. We are coming to you live from our nation's capital. Booming out to you coast to coast and brought to you today by the United Steelworkers and their great, colorful, articulate, passionate international president, Leo Gerard. The good men and women of the Steelworkers Union, America's largest industrial union, representing over 1.2 million active and retired members. Their website, you want to find out more about them. They're into all kinds of stuff, not just steel, but mainly, and working hard to bring the steel industry back to this country. Their website is usw.org. Well, we've been talking to the steelworkers doing a good job every day. Members of Congress, not. In fact, they have been so unproductive, such a do-nothing Congress. Yeah, Harry Truman in 1948 ran against a do-nothing Congress. Man, he should have seen this one. This Congress will go down in history as the least productive ever, the 112th Congress, and 2013, the least productive single year ever in the history of Congress. But John Boehner says, remember he said a couple months ago, don't judge us by how many bills we pass, by how many bills we repeal. Well, you know, even by that yardstick, they haven't done a damn thing. They haven't repealed any bills. Name one. Seriously, name one. They haven't done anything. We don't elect them to do nothing. Before we move on, Marcia out in Dwight, North Dakota. Hey, Marcia, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah. What do we do?
My experience is I've been an activist for a while, and with my friends and family, most of them have basic cable TV or no TV at all. So they're badly informed, and they're working their tushes off trying to get by.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have time, to help me out with my activism. They're just fighting to try to make ends meet.
I think that's a good point, Marcia. I think a lot of American people are in that fix right now. But I just hope they wake up and realize that the fix they're in is going to get worse because their elected representatives are not doing their job or are working against them here in Washington, D.C. So they've got to see how important it is.
I know.
Well, Marcia,
thank you.
You keep working at your end. I'll keep working at my end. Maybe we can bring some change about. One other big thing yesterday. I was at the White House. Went to the briefing, and then I was there when the president gave a very, very powerful speech about the Affordable Care Act. And what the president is trying to do, now that most of the problems with the website have been fixed, and now for the most part, or as they say, for the vast majority of Americans, that's the operative phrase, the website is accessible and is working. The president wants to get back to get off of defense and get on offense and start talking again about how important the Affordable Care Act is, what are the success so far with Obamacare, and what are the benefits for the American people of Obamacare. And that was yesterday was kind of the first shot, and we were told, Jay Carney told us, we're going to see a series of appearances by the president, like what we saw yesterday. He was as strong as I've ever seen him, actually. And he started out by saying, well, let's remind ourselves, this has been a tough fight. Getting the legislation through and getting the and keeping the legislation, despite all the attempts to derail it, including a battle in the Supreme Court. But the president says, let's remember why we went into this fight in the first place.
We took up a fight because we believe that in America, nobody should have to worry about going broke just because of somebody in their family or they got sick.
That's what it's all about. The president said, again, our mission is and our goal is, and the purpose of this is to provide basic, affordable, decent health insurance to 41 million Americans who have never, for a whole variety of reasons, cost or because they have a pre-existing condition, never been able to access it or have health insurance before. And so the president said, we kind of lost focus on what it's all about because we've been dealing for the last 2 months with these problems with the website.
Our poor execution in the first couple months on the website clouded the fact that there are a whole bunch of people who stand to benefit.
So he said that's we got to get back on the focus of helping Americans, again, who could never get health insurance before, who can get it now. And he said, and I'll tell you one thing, we're going to continue this fight, and he really threw down the gauntlet, I think, at the Republicans here.
I've always said I will work with anybody to implement and improve this law effectively. You got good ideas? Bring them to me. Let's go. But we're not repealing it as long as I'm president.
We are not repealing it as long as I am president. And he got a standing ovation from the room there in the South Court Auditorium when he said that. The president also said, if I've got to work for the next 3 years that I'm here and do nothing else but work for the next 3 years to make sure that the Affordable Care Act works, he says, that's what I will do. And he pledged again, we are never going back. We are never going back, because going back means, think about it, going back means going back to the days when you could not buy health insurance if you had a pre-existing condition, where for you or for your kids, for your family, where the insurance companies could dump you in a New York second if you or a member of your family got a particularly serious illness and you started costing them a lot of money. Going back means going back to a time when the insurance company could charge your girlfriend twice as much as you were paying for health insurance. I mean, it just goes on and on and on with all the abuses of the insurance companies and all the way they were ripping Americans off. We are not going back to that. I don't think anybody wants to go back to those times. Unfortunately, we had this failed or broken launch of the website, and that derailed everybody and got us and brought all the attention to what are the problems with the website rather than what are the benefits of the law. So the launch was really, just the effectiveness of the launch was destroyed by the problems with the website. The question now is, clearly the president is trying to refocus, to redirect all of our energies, and to start talking about, again, what the law is all about and what it means and what it will do rather than the problems with the website. In other words, this is the second launch, really, is what they started yesterday, right? And, everybody said when the problems on October 1, when we first heard about problems with the website, what did everybody say? You only get one shot. You only get one chance to make a first impression. Well, the president is hoping he's got a second chance to make a first impression. Do you think it will work? Can he really restart this thing? And I'll tell you, he's restarting it based on some signs of success. I think it was interesting that the president did this on Tuesday. He didn't do it on Monday. He didn't do it on Sunday. He wanted to wait and see if, in fact, the improvements that he was told had kicked in by November 30 really were making a difference. And they have been. Still a long way to go. But 1 million people went to the website, checked it out on Monday. And there were no real horror stories. The worst is that, and this is a new feature of the website, that if they're really, really busy at the time, you may get a little note saying, you're in the queue, and we're just going to have to ask you to sit in the waiting room for a while, like you would at your doctor's office, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can handle your request. And we'll send you an email when we're ready to talk to you. But 1 million people on Monday, and the president mentioned yesterday that 500,000 people through the federal exchange and the different state exchanges have signed up so far, signed up for Obamacare. So there are some signs of success. I think what the president did yesterday, I think he's got to do every single day from now until December 23rd, which is the deadline for signing up if you want insurance to kick in by January 1. If he does that, I think he can get it back. I think he can start all over again. What do you say? 866-55-PRESS. The second coming of Obamacare. David Jackson will give us his thoughts on what's going on at the White House next.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Hey, friends and neighbors, a very special message for you this morning. Here we are getting close to the end of the year already, and two things at this time of the year that all of us think about. Number one, taxes. Yeah, if you're like me and Carol, this is when you line up your favorite causes, your favorite organizations. You want to be sure to get those checks into them before the end of the year. Number one, because you like supporting good causes, but number two, because you like being able to take advantage of the tax deductions before the end of the year. And when you're thinking about your favorite causes, think Free Speech TV. Look, we depend on it, depend on you. Free Speech TV, as you know, gets no corporate money, no government money. All of our funding comes from our viewers. It's just as simple. We wouldn't be here without your support. So we ask you to step up to the plate again here at the end of the year. And the other thing, of course, people think about in December are gifts. Gifts to yourself, gift to your friends. We can combine the two. For a pledge to Free Speech TV, we'll send you gifts that you can consider end-of-the-year gifts to yourself or someone special to you. Here's how. For $120 pledge, which is $10 a month, think of it that way, Copies of 2 great books. My latest one, The Obama Hate Machine, all about the Koch brothers and all the evil they're doing. Plus, a copy of Joe Cirincione, one of our favorite guests here on the Bill Press Show, Joe Cirincione's latest book from the Plowshares Fund, Nuclear Nightmares. If you can pledge $240 a month, that's $240 a year, $20 a month. The 3 of the favorite books that I read this year. One about Congress, Norm Ornstein's It's Worse Than It Looks. This one, my favorite science writer, Mary Roach, and her book called Bunk, The Curious Coupling of Science and Sex. Woohoo! And thirdly, my favorite mystery writer, Michael Dibdin, writes books about Italy. My favorite is Blood Rain, which takes place in Sicily. And then for $360 a month, a real special deal, and exclusive copies of 3 interviews that I conducted here at the Hill Center in Washington, D.C., 1 hour each with Mark Leibovich from the New York Times, Bishop Gene Robinson, and Senator Mary Landrieu. And for those of you who can make a very special pledge to Free Speech TV of $1,000, an extraordinary gift, here it is. Scarf, just like this one, a hand-woven scarf. This is rayon chenille. It could also be in bamboo, done by the greatest weaver in the world, my wife, Carol Press. So if you can help us, please, we love bringing you the show every day. I love getting up early in the morning, having the first crack at news and commentary with you, bringing in the best guests that we can get for you. You know, our regulars, Arthur Delaney, Igor Volsky, Congressman Chris Holland, other members of Congress. But again, we couldn't be here on Free Speech TV, couldn't be here with Tom Hartman and Amy Goodman, David Packman, and Ring of Fire without your help. We depend on it. So please give us a call at 877-378-8669.
On TV and online, this is The Bill Press Show.
All right, we got at 14 minutes now before the top of the hour. Big effort at the White House yesterday to restart and relaunch Obamacare. Get away from talking about the problems with the website to talking about what all the good things that's happening with Obamacare already and more good things to come. Will it work? Will it work? Will they get a second chance at a launch of Obamacare? I was there at the briefing yesterday along with David Jackson, White House correspondent for USA Today, joining us on our newsline again this morning. Hello, David.
Hello, Bill.
So what do you think? It's a clear effort on the part of the White House to refocus on the good things about Obamacare rather than the problems with the website. Is it going to work?
It just depends. To me, politically, the entire health care law is a gamble that the White House is gambling that more people will benefit than people who have to pay more or lose some kind of service on their insurance policy. So they're betting that the first number will be higher. And I don't think we'll know that really until at least for a year and perhaps even for 3 years heading into 2016.
Right. And the numbers indicate that at least they have, for the most part, put the technical problems behind them, don't they?
So it would seem so. I mean, I know a lot of media organizations are challenging the White House's assertion, but I don't hear a lot of complaints about the website from average people, if you will. And a number of people have claimed that at least 1 million people visited the website just in recent days. So it does seem like the website issue is fading, but I think the canceled insurance policies issue is still out there, and then there's also an issue coming up next year about whether people can keep their doctors. So I think there's a lot of twists and turns to the story to come.
Yeah, and you've got, as some people refer to it, as the front end, which is what they've been focusing on, the consumers, but there remain some problems at the back end, which is the connection with the insurance companies, right, who end up having to actually issue and price the policies.
Oh, exactly. And also, I was home in South Carolina for the Thanksgiving holiday and talking to some people, and here again, the people are always. It seems like many people have often had problems with insurance companies. Well, now it seems to me that those problems will be transferred to the government. If people have some kind of insurance problem, they'll tend to blame Obamacare. Now, admittedly, South Carolina's a more conservative state, but I think you'll see that as an issue throughout the country too. So it's very hard to tell how it's going to play out politically.
One of the things that I've noticed, I haven't been hanging around the White House as long as you have, is that there's they have a difficulty staying on message and on focus. Like the president will do something on the economy and then you don't hear about it again, right? Or on guns and you don't hear about it again. So the focus yesterday on health care, are they going to keep that focus up, and do you think that pressure up for the next whatever 2 or 3 weeks now until this December 23rd deadline?
Well, they say they will, but I'm with you. These things do tend to fade out, and also in introducing it was weird too, because on Monday there wasn't. The White House during the day didn't really talk about this. No. It was only Monday night that they began saying, hey, we're going to have this big health care speech. And the official announcement of the health care speech didn't come down until 10:30 Monday night. So they didn't preview it very well, in my view. Now, President Obama has another event today where he's going to talk to young people about. He's going to talk to people who are volunteering to help other young people sign up for the health care exchanges. So there'll be another health care event today, and I assume we'll see some things in the coming days. But President Obama also has a big speech on the overall economy today, and he's planning an immigration event, and he's doing a Chris Matthews thing tomorrow night. So there are other issues that are out there, and I just wonder if they'll be able to maintain much interest in the health care push, especially heading into the holidays.
But don't you think that the reason they didn't announce anything until late Monday is they wanted to see what happened Monday when the exchanges opened?
Yeah, probably so. Yes, hate to be a cynic, Bill, but yes, that's a very good analysis. But it was very unusual the way it played out.
Oh, I agree. In fact, I was surprised that they were able to round up as many people as they had yesterday standing there with the president, because it looked like it was slapped together at the last minute.
Right.
But now, talking to you now, I realize that they had put the event together, but they didn't announce it until they were sure they had some numbers they could talk about. Right.
Well, that's another big factor too, is the numbers. I mean, they need 7 million by the end of March next year, and that's going to be the real question too.
Yeah. Joe Biden has got himself right in the middle of a pretty a lot of hot water. This trip has been planned a long time, but boy, it's really things are pretty tense over there right now.
That just goes to show that it seems like every time there's a foreign trip by either the president or the vice president, events intrude and change the nature of the trip. As you mentioned, Vice President Biden had been planning this trip to Japan, China, and South Korea for quite some time. Partly for trade reasons, partly for U.S. relations, but also because there's a lot of tension in the region anyway. That was exacerbated because China's now declared this air defense zone that's larger than it has been, and also requires any plane from another country to notify the Chinese when they wander into this airspace. And the airspace also covers some islands that are also claimed by Japan. So that's just ratcheting up the tension between Japan and China, and things weren't going so great before then. And so now Vice President Biden has been put in the middle of that.
What can we do?
Beijing now talking about it.
Yeah, and what can we do about it?
Not much. Just try to persuade the Chinese to kind of back off. You know, all countries, including the United States, have these zones of that have these air zones, and so it's not that unusual. It's just that China's is larger than usual, and they extended it out to some disputed territories. And also, they require all planes to go through a system to notify the Chinese when they fly into this airspace, which is a little unusual. So, I think that the best that Biden or Obama can do is kind of persuade the Chinese to kind of lower the rules and perhaps pull back the zone a little bit.
All right, and so tonight, David, we members of the White House Correspondents Association have our holiday party. It's always the first one of the season, but this is a sign that President Obama and the First Lady had better get ready to get their grins and their handshakes ready, right?
Oh, I'm sure they're warming up those handshakes. Yeah, I believe it starts next week.
Next week. Yeah,
and I think last year had close to 20, a little bit over 20 receptions, and basically it's a party at the White House, and various groups are invited in to look at the White House and get their pictures snapped with the president. There's one for the press. There's one for the foreign ambassadors. There's one for Congress, and there's one for federal employees. And there obviously some donors are also involved too. And then those start next week, and he'll be very busy right up until the time he leaves for Hawaii. So I'm anticipating somewhere in the neighborhood of 15 to 20 receptions for the Obama.
Oh man, have you signed up for the Hawaii trip?
No.
You wish.
No, we wish, I tell you.
You go to South Carolina instead.
They haven't. I'm assuming they haven't formally, officially declared that, but my understanding is he wants to leave the weekend before Christmas and come the weekend after New Year's.
Yeah, I saw something yesterday. He's leaving on the 20th.
That's the word going on. It'll basically see how the public reaction. That'd be 2.5 weeks in Hawaii, basically. So basically see what kind of reaction that gets.
A lot of people will be jealous of it. Hey, David, I'll see you a little bit later today. Thanks, man. All right, David Jackson.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Hey, friends and neighbors, a very special message for you this morning. Here we are, getting close to the end of the year already, and two things at this time of the year that all of us think about. Number one, taxes. Yeah, if you're like me and Carol, this is when you line up your favorite causes, your favorite organizations. You want to be sure to get those checks sent into them before the end of the year. Number one, because you like supporting good causes, but number two, because you like being able to take advantage of the tax deductions before the end of the year. And when you're thinking about your favorite causes, think Free Speech TV. Look, we depend on it, depend on you. Free Speech TV, as you know, gets no corporate money, no government money. All of our funding comes from our viewers. It's just as simple. We wouldn't be here without your support. So we ask you to step up to the plate again here at the end of the year. And the other thing, of course, people think about in December are gifts. Gifts to yourself, gift to your friends. We can combine the two. For a pledge to Free Speech TV, we'll send you gifts that you can consider end-of-the-year gifts to yourself or someone special to you. Here's how. For $120 pledge, which is $10 a month, think of it that way, copies of two great books. My latest one, The Obama Hate Machine, all about the Koch brothers and all the evil they're doing, plus a copy of Joe Cirincione, one of our favorite guests here on the Bill Press Show, Joe Cirincione's latest book from the Plowshares Fund, Nuclear Nightmares. If you can pledge $240 a month, that's $240 a year, $20 a month. The three of the favorite books that I read this year. One about Congress, Norm Ornstein's It's Worse Than It Looks. This one, my favorite science writer, Mary Roach, and her book called Bunk, The Curious Coupling of Science and Sex. Woohoo! And thirdly, my favorite mystery writer, Michael Dibdin, writes books about Italy. My favorite is Blood Rain, which takes place in Sicily. And then for $360 a month, a real special deal, and exclusive copies of 3 interviews that I conducted here at the Hill Center in Washington, D.C., 1 hour each with Mark Leibovich from the New York Times, Bishop Gene Robinson, and Senator Mary Landrieu. And for those of you who can make a very special pledge to Free Speech TV of $1,000, an extraordinary gift, here it is. Scarf, just like this one, a hand-woven scarf. This is rayon chenille. It could also be in bamboo, done by the greatest weaver in the world, my wife, Carol Press. So if you can help us, please, we love bringing you the show every day. I love getting up early in the morning, having the first crack at news and commentary with you, bringing in the best guests that we can get for you. You know, our regulars, Arthur Delaney, Igor Volsky, Congressman Chris Holland, other members of Congress. But again, we couldn't be here on Free Speech TV, couldn't be here with Tom Hartman and Amy Goodman, David Packman, and Ring of Fire without your help. We depend on it. So please give us a call at 877-378-8669.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Picasso, you heard of him, haven't you? Yeah, well, he joins us in the next hour here of the Bill Press Show, believe it or not. Back from the grave. Well, it's his grandson, but that's pretty good. Olivier Picasso at the top of the next hour. Peter, what's going on?
Sad news, Bill. I know one of your favorite foods out there are the Doritos tacos that you can get at Taco Bell. They call them their Loco Tacos, Dorito Locos Tacos. The guy that created them is a guy by the name of Todd Mills. He had the idea. He wrote to Taco Bell and said, you should start making taco shells out of Doritos. He passed away at the age of 41 years old.
41?
Maybe he shouldn't be eating taco shells made out of Doritos.
That's not a great advertisement for Dorito
It's tacos. Not health food. It's definitely not health food.
Oh, wow. Well, that's sad, but I must tell you, it's probably been 41 years since I've been in a Taco Bell.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Hey, good morning, everybody. What do you say? Nice to see you today. I got to tell you a funny story. So, I was on vacation a week or so ago and met up with a couple. We were chatting over dinner one night, and the guy said to me, so, obviously, you're retired. And I said, what? I'm not retired. I said, what? You think because I've got gray hair, I'm retired? No way. I'm not going to retire because I love what I'm doing, and I really do. Look, having to get up so early to do this show is no fun, but doing the show is something that I just look forward to every single day. I mean, it's great fun getting up, getting on top of the news, having the first crack at the news every day, being able to line up all of our guests, the best guests we can find to bring to you, and then hearing from you all over the country, your calls, your comments on the news of the day. It's just the best job, I think, in the world. And it's especially great, and I especially love now, being able to do this job on Free Speech TV and joining such giants in broadcasting as Tom Hartman and Amy Goodman and the good friends over at Michael Papantonio and the others at Ring of Fire. And it's all on Free Speech TV, the kind of hard-hitting, independent, uncensored news and commentary that you get nowhere else. That's the value of Free Speech TV. But of course, you know, without any government funding, without any corporate funding, we depend on you to keep us going here at Free Speech TV. We work only for you. And so once again, we turn here at the end of the year to ask for your help, because without your help, we would not be on the air. And now at the end of the year is a good time to do it, because you not only help us and help everybody at Free Speech TV, but you help yourself by getting that good tax deduction. As a little incentive to help us out, a couple things to keep in mind. If you can help us with $10 a month, $120 a year, we will give you a copy of 2 great books. My latest one, The Obama Hate Machine, all about the Koch brothers, and Joe Cirincione, frequent guest here on the Bill Press Show, his latest book, Nuclear Nightmares, a real great book. For $20 a month, $240 a year, we'll give you 3 of the favorite books that I read this year, all in paperback. Norm Ornstein's book about Congress, It's Worse Than It Looks. This great little book about science by Mary Roach called Bonk, The Curious Coupling of Science and Sex. And Michael Dibdin, great mystery writer. All of his mysteries take place in Sicily. In Italy, one of my favorites is Blood Rain, that takes place in Sicily. And for those of you who can offer $360 a year or $30 a month, we'll give you 3 exclusive 1-hour interviews that I've conducted at the Hill Center here in Washington, D.C. And beyond that, if you're fortunate enough to be able to help Free Speech with $1,000, you can get one of these beautiful Carol Press scarves. So give us a call, make your pledge at 877-378-8669. Thank you.
In 1920s America, the Great Depression effectively erased consumer demand. Struggling manufacturers needed new ways to get people buying again. Innovative production processes like stamping and use of molds allowed them to use new materials for their designs. Products using vinyl, chrome, aluminium and plywood began appearing. American industrial designers began introducing streamlined, efficient shapes that shouted progress. Bel Geddes pioneered what we now refer to as utilitarian art. Things that had little reason to look sleek, now all of a sudden did. At the 1939 World Fair, featuring Bel Geddes' immensely popular Futurama exhibit, a new era of American industrial design proudly claimed to be building the world of tomorrow. Americans found great positivity in these futuristic forms. Yay. Things were looking up. American industrial designers realised that by making objects look great, people simply wanted them more. From cars to kitchen appliances, the most influential society on earth was spending money again. Mass consumption had arrived. Advertisers finally had lots to talk about. Personal taste could be expressed through the things you bought. Style became equally as important as function. Chair designers like Eames and Saarinen didn't just design seating, they created desirable lifestyles. People behind the products suddenly were stars. Everyone wanted to know who they were. Raymond Loewy was one of the shining lights of American industrial design. His face ended up on every coffee table in the nation. Toothpaste packaging promised whiter teeth. Washing powder packaging promised whiter whites. Who knew such simple household objects would shape the tastes and ambitions of an entire society? American industrial design improved America, functionally, culturally and intellectually, and exported it around the globe.
At Earth Justice, we defend the environment in the courtroom. Join our fight. When you take a seat, you take a stand. Earth Justice, because the Earth needs a good lawyer.
you wouldn't let money just blow out of your house. So when your AC or heater is on, make sure the doors, windows, and fireplace flue are shut tight. If you're headed out, turn down the AC or lower the heat by 10 degrees. And always keep your water heater set at 120. A little bit of common sense goes a long way. Get more great tips at energysaver.gov.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
Broadcasting around the nation, on your radio, on your TV, and online. This is the Bill Press Show.
About the Affordable Care Act, the defiant President Obama says it's never going to be repealed as long as I'm President of the United States. Good morning, everybody. Wednesday, December 4. Great to see you. Great to be with you this morning on the Bill Press Show, coming to you live on your local progressive talk radio station everywhere in this great land of ours, coast to coast, bringing you the news of the day and giving you the chance to sound off about it. That's the best part. Love to hear from you. You got as much to say, and it means as much about any of these issues as I do. So let's hear from you by phone at 866-55-PRESS. We'll get as many of you as we can on the air. Give us your comments also on Twitter and on Facebook. On Twitter, it's easy, at Bill Press Show. At Bill Press Show, and on Facebook at facebook.com/Bill Press Show.
On Twitter, you can find us at BP Show.
I knew that was wrong when I said it.
That's all right.
BP Show.
You've had a lot to drink today.
Well, I was up all night. I didn't get any sleep,
Yeah,
so
it happens.
Right.
It happens.
Yeah, that's Peter Ogburn, by the way. He's not supposed to talk until he is invited.
You're right.
But
You're right. I just showed
you know how
myself out.
children are. They break the rules all the time. Go to your corner.
You got it. Bye.
Okay, Elisa Murphy there alongside of Peter, our new associate producer. Good to have her on board. With Alicia Cruz. Did I say Alyssa?
You said Elisa. It's Elisa and Alicia.
It's too
this
confusing.
is harder than we thought.
I know. It is. Every day it's hard. One of you has to change your name. We've said that before. Yeah. Alicia Cruz is there, as always, on the phones, and Cyprian Bolding on the video cam, our videographer, and it's good to have you all on board. There's some sad news yesterday about a great city, Detroit, in tough financial shape, and they hope to get out of that shape, get out of their trials, right, by declaring bankruptcy. That was challenged in the courts. Could a city, in fact, declare bankruptcy? The key issue here is that all these public employees, a lot of the debt the city owns are to public employees who spent their entire lifetime working for the city, and they have these pensions which they were guaranteed and they helped pay into. Well, if you declare bankruptcy, that means the city could get out from under having to pay these pensions, and these people would lose their pensions and lose all their support. The case was brought in front of a judge, and the judge said, yep, the city does have the right to declare bankruptcy, and the pension holders may just have to say tough apples, or we may have to say that to them. I think it's a horrible decision. The mayor of Detroit yesterday, Dave Bing, said, this is just the way the cookie crumbles, I guess.
It's a tough day for all of us here in Detroit.
And he said, we just got to do what's best for the city.
All of our focus has to be on what's best for the citizens of Detroit, the 700,000 plus people that are here. I don't think we want to get into a situation where we're putting the citizens against the pensioners.
But I got to tell you, we'll see how it plays out. It's tough to see this happen in Detroit, and let me tell you, this is not the last. If this works in Detroit, where the city can file for bankruptcy, and not have to pay the the pension plans that these public employees earned and worked for and deserved, the same thing's going to happen in city after city in this country. This is bad news. We'll talk more about it in the next couple of days as well. Coming up later in the program, Congressman John Yarmouth joins us from Kentucky here in studio. We will also be talking with Ron Pollock from Families USA about how well the Affordable Care Act is doing so far. And we'll kick off this hour with Picasso himself. Well, his grandson. Yeah, with a very exciting program that you are going to want to be part of. But first,
this is the Full Court Press.
Just a couple of other stories that are making news. Stephen Ciccone, a chef who suffers from cerebral palsy, is being hailed as a hero on the Metro North train that derailed on Sunday in New York. One of the victims of that train crash, Dr. Denise Williams, a 55-year-old dentist, she fractured her spine on Sunday's accident. But before help could arrive, Ciccone was by her side. He comforted her, and he used a ball of yarn that he had been crocheting with to support her neck, all while ignoring his own injuries. They were both admitted to the hospital later that day. Both have survived. Williams' family is very grateful for Ciccone's heroism and for his ball of yarn.
Well, can we come back to this? This was a chef who was crocheting on the train?
Yeah. How about that?
Wow. Man of many talents.
I'm telling you. Ohio was awarded a high honor yesterday. They were deemed the sweariest state in America. Through phone call data tracking, the Marchex Institute studied how often callers from various U.S. states swear when they are on the phone. They looked at 600,000 phone calls for an entire year, and they used mining technology to isolate curse words in the conversations.
So is this the NSA doing this?
Basically, yes. It's basically
How do they
snooping.
listen on these phone calls?
They have this cell phone and call data tracking, and then they looked within those actual calls to see where the curses were. And people in Ohio curse once out of every 150 phone conversations. That's the most in the nation. Number 2, Maryland. Maryland, bringing it home for number 2. New Jersey, Louisiana, and Illinois round out the top 5. The least sweariest state in America.
Delaware.
Sorry, Washington State. 1 out of every 300 conversations, they swear.
Yeah. But you didn't report the most important. But I read that story. The most important finding, I thought, was that 85% of the swearingest calls in Ohio were to the John Boehner household.
I didn't see that.
Or from the John Boehner household. From the John Boehner household,
exactly.
John Boehner's cell phone.
And the New York Yankees strike again. They pulled off a very, very impressive move. They signed away Red Sox outfielder Jacoby Ellsbury to a massive 7-year contract, which is worth somewhere around $153 million. Remember, Ellsbury was on the World Series champions, Boston Red Sox, and the Yankees have bought themselves a fine player. You will remember that the Red Sox and the Yankees are one of the most heated rivalries in sports, so Boston will probably turn their back on him just as quickly as he signed that contract.
There was another pitcher that the Yankees picked up not so long ago, a few years ago from Boston.
Oh, they're notorious for doing. I mean, they took Roger Clemens. I mean, they stole him away. They're notorious for this type of behavior.
All right, Peter, thank you. Yeah, something very exciting. This is an area where we don't often get into on the Bill Press Show, and that is the field of art. Not only that, the field of archaeology, I guess. And if you add the two of them together, as a very exciting program that we wanted to start off this hour with and tell you about, and see if it's something that you might, in fact, want to get involved with. Peter is working on getting our guest on the line. I want to hold the surprise until we get our guest on the line. But we heard about this yesterday, and it suddenly is making a lot of news, and so we're glad that we're able to start this hour. If you go to, let me just suggest, you go to the site, The Daily Beast, and you pull it up as I have up on my computer, And what is the headline? It says $1 million Picasso raffled for $135. So you don't have to be a millionaire or a billionaire anymore to own a Picasso. You could own your own original Picasso worth at least $1 million for just $135. What is that all about? Well, we are pleased to be joined this morning on our newsline from New York City, the grandson of the great Pablo Picasso, Monsieur Olivier Picasso. Bonjour.
Bonjour, hello.
Hello, good to have you with us this morning, Olivier. Thank you so much. So first of all, I was talking to some friends about this last night, and they wanted, their first question was, where did you get this artwork of your grandfather's?
Oh, the people of the Association to Save the City of Tyre, the people in charge of this raffle, had a big work to find such an interesting piece of art, because not only it is a beautiful paint on paper from the Cubist period of my grandfather, but it's also a museum quality painting.
And was it in the family or in a private collection or in a museum?
Yes, in fact, my grandfather kept it during his life, and when he died in 1973, the family got it in the estate. So it's really from the private collection of Pablo.
Yeah, it's a 1914 Cubist gouache drawing called L'Homme au Gibus, or Man with an Opera Hat, and this is being auctioned off, and the raffled off, I guess I should say, it's for $135 each, correct?
Yes, 50,000 tickets have been issued, which is a big chance for anybody to win this Picasso. It's better than any lottery in the world, apparently.
I was just going to say, certainly better chances than the lottery, 135. Can people buy multiple tickets, Olivier? Could I buy 5 tickets, or am I limited to just one?
Yes. No. You can buy as much as you want, and it's a very good Christmas gift.
Very good. Nice time to mention that. And where will all this money go, and what would it be used for?
Oh, the city of Tyre in Lebanon is probably the original place of our Western civilization. Not only the alphabet comes from Tyre, the use of the word Europe comes from Tyre, and it's a long-range sailing place. So let's say that the Phoenician city of Tyre, it's a place that needs to be protected, not only for the archaeological side, but also for the culture. And this is the purpose of this raffle, is to raise money to create an handicraft village, to create jobs for women and for people with disability.
So the city of Tyre, has it suffered? I just came back from Sicily, where we visited Greek and Roman ruins in Sicily, which some of them are very, very well preserved. What shape is Tyre in today?
Today, Tyre is protected. It's registered as an universal heritage place. So there is reconstruction, protection, but there is also the maintenance of a place where something like 110,000 people are still living, and they are the descendants of maybe our ancestors. Because when you mention Rome, for example, or Greece, the city of Tyre was before.
Yes, yeah. In fact, in Sicily, the Phoenicians were there before the Greeks were there. They were the first people, I think, to colonize it.
And even my grandfather was born in Malaga, the south of Spain. Malaga, it's a Phoenician city.
It's a Phoenician city. What is your interest in Tyre? Of all the causes in the world, what brought you to this particular one, Olivier?
I think when the people of the association came to me, I was interested because there are no political or religious issue in this raffle. Everything is based on souvenir and protection of our heritage. So I had no clue to discuss anything. It's a great cause.
Was the city of Tyre, in fact, with the civil war in Lebanon, was there recent damage to Tyre, or did the Lebanese kind of protect it themselves?
The city of Tyre has been, of course, damaged by centuries of conflict. that were much before what happens today. But let's say that today the city has been apart from the big problems in Beirut, for example, or in the north with Syria.
Well, if people want to take advantage of this opportunity, an incredible opportunity, for $135 again, you could be the owner of this original work of Pablo Picasso, valued at least $1 million. How do people do it? Where do they buy their raffle tickets?
Oh, they have to connect on internet at www.onepicasso100euros.com, and I must tell you that this raffle is placed under the survey of the French government because it's raffle with money, so it has a monopoly. In France, there is a monopoly about that, like in America. So it's totally controlled. The money goes into the Ministry of Finance before being distributed to the association. So it's very clear, very safe, and you receive by online a receipt of the purchase of your ticket, and you win.
Okay, so we will put that link up. Here it is. One Picasso, and then the number 100euros.com. One Picasso, 100euros.com, and you can buy your raffle tickets. And we'll have a link up for our listeners and our viewers. I want you to know we'll have a link up on our website so you can take advantage of this incredible opportunity. And as Olivier told us, it would make a great Christmas gift as well as a great opportunity for yourself. And finally, before I let you go, I have to ask you, Olivier, how well did you know your grandfather, and how well?
I was too young to know him, and I was born in the 60s, and my grandfather at that time was really someone who was totally obsessed by working in his studio. So I didn't suffer any missing grandfather because in our apartment there were paintings, drawings, and sculptures and photography. So I was living with someone I didn't really know. It's just the day he died that I realized how important he was.
Yeah, well, one of the greatest artists of all time, for sure, and a man with so many different gifts and so many different periods in his life. He's like 12 artists in one.
It's true. It's true. I must tell you that Picasso belongs a little bit to the family, but belongs really to the whole world.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's wonderful what you're doing, Olivier. I really, really admire what you're doing and appreciate it. And thank you so much for your time this morning. And we'll see if we can't help bring some people this great opportunity to own their own Picasso for just $135. Olivier Picasso, merci bien, mon ami.
Au revoir.
Au revoir. Talk to you again.
On your radio, on TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
Hey, friends and neighbors, a very special message for you this morning. Here we are, getting close to the end of the year already, and two things that, at this time of the year that all of us think about. Number one, taxes. Yeah, if you're like me and Carol, this is when you line up your favorite causes, your favorite organizations. You want to be sure to get those checks sent into them before the end of the year. Number one, because you like supporting good causes, but number two, because you like being able to take advantage of the tax deductions before the end of the year. And when you think about your favorite causes, think Free Speech TV. Look, we depend on it, depend on you. Free Speech TV, as you know, gets no corporate money, no government money. All of our funding comes from our viewers. It's just as simple. We wouldn't be here without your support. So we ask you to step up to the plate again here at the end of the year. And the other thing, of course, people think about in December are gifts. Gifts to yourself, gifts to your friends. We can combine the two. For a pledge to Free Speech TV, we'll send you gifts that you can consider end-of-the-year gifts to yourself or someone special to you. Here's how. For $120 pledge, which is $10 a month, think of it that way, copies of two great books. My latest one, The Obama Hate Machine, all about the Koch brothers and all the evil they're doing, plus a copy of Joe Cirincione, one of our favorite guests here on the Bill Press Show, Joe Cirincione's latest book from the Plowshares Fund, Nuclear Nightmares. If you can pledge $240 a month, that's $240 a year, $20 a month. The three of the favorite books that I read this year. One about Congress, Norm Ornstein's It's Worse Than It Looks. This one, my favorite science writer, Mary Roach, and her book called Bonk, The Curious Coupling of Science and Sex. Woohoo! And thirdly, My favorite mystery writer, Michael Dibdin, writes books about Italy. My favorite is Blood Rain, which takes place in Sicily. And then for $360 a month, a real special deal. And exclusive copies of 3 interviews that I conducted here at the Hill Center in Washington, D.C., 1 hour each with Mark Leibovich from the New York Times, Bishop Gene Robinson, and Senator Mary Landrieu. And for those of you who can make a very special pledge to Free Speech TV of $1,000, an extraordinary gift, here it is. Scarf, just like this one, a hand-woven scarf. This is rayon chenille. It could also be in bamboo, done by the greatest weaver in the world, my wife, Carol Press. So if you can help us, please, we love bringing you the show every day. I love getting up early in the morning, having the first crack at news and commentary with you, bringing in the best guests that we can get for you. You know, our regulars, Arthur Delaney, Igor Volsky, Congressman Chris Holland, other members of Congress. But again, we couldn't be here on Free Speech TV, couldn't be here with Tom Hartman and Amy Goodman, David Packman, and Ring of Fire without your help. We depend on it. So please give us a call at 877-378-8669.
If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving.
When some people struggle with their mortgage payments, they become frozen, petrified. Not knowing what to do, they do nothing. But the people who take action are far more likely to get the most positive outcome. Making home affordable is a free government program. Call now to talk one-on-one with a housing expert about the options that are right for you. Real help, real answers, right now.
Picasso100euros.com. For $135, you get a raffle ticket, and the winning prize, so it's only one prize, is this $1 million plus Picasso. Only 50,000 tickets will be sold. Raffle tickets will be sold. So those are pretty good chances. 1 out of 50,000
that's a
hell of a lot better than chances than you have on the lottery.
Yeah, damn right it is.
You know, which is 1 out of millions.
Right.
And millions, right? So, so you're going to buy a ticket?
I'm thinking about it.
I'm thinking about it.
You know, he does have the right idea about Christmas gifts. I mean, if they're, you know, for family members and stuff who you don't know what to buy for, and
yeah,
you know, $135 isn't a ton of money for like a close friend or family.
But I got a better idea, and this one came out of Wisconsin. Actually, Governor Scott Walker, not one of my favorite people, but he put out an email asking people and suggesting that this Christmas, instead of giving Christmas gifts to their family, what they do is they make a contribution to his re-election campaign. That would be a better use of their money, and it would be better for their kids to be sure that Walker stays as governor so he can continue to screw the good people of Wisconsin. He actually put out an email to people saying, don't give Christmas gifts this year. Use your money to get me reelected.
That's worse than a lump of coal.
That's the biggest ego trip I think I've ever seen in my life.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Hey, good morning, everybody. What do you say? Nice to see you today. I got to tell you a funny story. So, you know, I was on vacation a week or so ago and met up with a couple. We were chatting over dinner one night, and the guy said to me, so, obviously, you're retired. And I said, what? I'm not retired. I said, what? You think because I've got gray hair, I'm retired? No way. I'm not going to retire because I love what I'm doing, and I really do. Look, having to get up so early to do this show is no fun. But doing the show is something that I just look forward to every single day. I mean, it's great fun getting up, getting on top of the news, having the first crack at the news every day, being able to line up all of our guests, the best guests we can find to bring to you, and then hearing from you all over the country, your calls, your comments on the news of the day. It's just the best job, I think, in the world. And it's especially great, and I especially love now, being able to do this job on Free Speech TV and joining such giants in broadcasting as Tom Hartman and Amy Goodman and the good friends over at Michael Papantonio and the others at Ring of Fire. And it's all on Free Speech TV, the kind of hard-hitting, independent, uncensored news and commentary that you get nowhere else. That's the value of Free Speech TV. But of course, you know, without any government funding, without any corporate funding, we depend on you to keep us going here at Free Speech TV. We work only for you. And so once again, we turn here at the end of the year to ask for your help, because without your help, we would not be on the air. And now at the end of the year is a good time to do it, because you not only help us and help everybody at Free Speech TV, but you help yourself by getting that good tax deduction. As a little incentive to help us out, a couple things to keep in mind. If you can help us with $10 a month, $120 a year, we will give you a copy of two great books. My latest one, The Obama Hate Machine, all about the Koch brothers, and Joe Cirincione, frequent guest here on the Bill Press Show, his latest book, Nuclear Nightmares, a real great book. For $20 a month, $240 a year, we'll give you three of the favorite books that I read this year, all in paperback. Norm Ornstein's book about Congress, It's Worse Than It Looks. This great little book about science by Mary Roach called Bonk, The Curious Coupling of Science and Sex. And Michael Dibdin, great mystery writer. All of his mysteries take place in Sicily, in Italy. One of my favorites is Blood Rain, that takes place in Sicily. And for those of you who can offer $360 a year or $30 a month, we'll give you three exclusive 1-hour interviews that I've conducted at the Hill Center here in Washington, D.C. And beyond that, if you're fortunate enough to be able to help Free Speech with $1,000, you can get one of these beautiful Carol Press scarves. So give us a call, make your pledge at 877-378-8669. Thank you.
At Earth Justice, we defend the environment in the courtroom. Join our fight. When you take a seat, you take a stand. Earth Justice, because the Earth needs a good lawyer.
On your radio, on TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
On a Wednesday morning, December 4, it is The Bill Press Show coming to you live from our nation's capital, booming out to you on your local progressive talk radio station all across this great land of ours. Good to see you this morning. We are brought to you this morning by the American Federation of Teachers, the good men and women of the AFT under President Randy Weingarten, making a difference every day in the classrooms of America. You bet. You can find out more about their good work at aft.org. Good to be with you this morning. You can those of you watching on Free Speech TV or on our video stream at TawkrTV can see that I'm wearing another one of Carol Press's beautiful hand-woven scarves this morning. I love these colors. These are really very...
It's a very nice one.
Yeah, yeah.
Nice and blue.
Very rich, a little purple, a little green, a little blue. And check them out on our website at BillPressShow.com. The link at the top to Carol Press scarves. She does these in rayon chenille like this, or in bamboo. They're great. Make great Hanukkah, Christmas gifts, great gifts for yourself Lots of different colors and patterns to choose from, and now is the time of year when you need a good warm scarf. So, again, go to our website, BillPressShow.com, click Carol Press Scarves, and you are there. Well, for the last just about, Peter, coming up on 8 years almost, we've been at this, the nationally syndicated Bill Press Show.
Coming up on 9 years.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's been 8.5 years. You believe that?
My God.
Right?
Yeah.
It's terrifying, isn't it?
We've lasted that long. At any rate, as your nationally syndicated morning radio show, we are proud of that. We have a lot of fun at doing that. And we are part of the Progressive Radio Network, such as it is. How healthy is it? And where is it going? Well, we've got a lot to say about that, and so does Nicole Hemmer. She's a writer for U.S. News and World Report, also a professor at the University of Miami, and a visiting scholar at the U.S. Studies Center at the University of Sydney. Wearing those many hats, she joins us on our news line this morning. Hey, Nicole, good to have you with us.
Good morning, Bill. Thanks for having me.
So you've taken a look at the state of progressive talk radio in this country today. How is it?
Well, it's certainly doing better than it was, say, a decade ago when it was more or less non-existent.
I was just going to say it didn't exist a decade ago, right?
Right. Yeah. So, and it's doing better than, say, conservative talk radio was doing in its infancy. It took a good 25, 30 years for conservative talk radio to become what it became when Rush Limbaugh launched his nationally syndicated show. So in that way, it's ahead of the curve. But by and large, it seems to me unlikely that even as healthy as it is now, and even as well as you're doing at the moment, that it's ever going to be as influential or be as central to progressive politics as conservative talk radio is to conservative politics.
Well, I agree with you, and then the question always is, why not? And what I hear is that, number one, liberals just don't know how to do talk radio, or number two, that talk radio is just a medium that is made for angry white males, most of whom are conservative, and not for, rational thinking, questioning people who most of whom are liberals. What's your take? Why?
Yeah, I don't actually find those arguments terribly persuasive. I think that there are a number of things going on, but I do think that two of them are most significant. And the first is that, to my mind, progressives don't have that same critique of all of the other media that sends them searching for media that reflect progressive ideas, that reflect progressive politics, right? They have a much stronger media, or a much more varied media diet, and don't have that sort of dismissal of non-progressive media as biased media. And that's something that...
If I can just jump in other words, they don't need that... one place where they can go and never hear anything they disagree with, right?
Well, that's right. And there's also, they just don't see the media world in black and white, right? It's either conservative media or liberal media.
Yeah. Go ahead.
And then I think that the second thing is that traditionally the liberal base has been centered not in media but in organizations. And that's something that has given the liberal base a lot of strength within the Democratic Party, because organizations are centered around interests rather than ideology. But it means that it doesn't have that same media center that the conservative movement has.
Well, the other thing we hear is, and I've heard this my entire career, right? What the left needs is what we're all waiting for. We're waiting for the second coming, right? We're waiting for the next... We're waiting for the Rush Limbaugh of the left. I can't tell you how many times I have heard that, that vision or that dream. Do you think that's what progressive talk radio needs?
Well, I think that's what progressives think that they want. They see that the power and influence that Limbaugh has. In 2009, there was a survey that was taken that asked who led the Republican Party, and Rush Limbaugh was the top person. Yeah. And they hunger for that because they see him and his ilk moving the Republican Party to the right, and they would love to see the Democratic Party move to the left in the same way. But I actually don't think that's what progressives need, and I ultimately don't think it's what they want. If you think about how much time was lost in the 2012 election to the Sandra Fluck controversy, and how much damage that the Republican Party took from some over-the-top statements, I don't know that we want our media personalities, particularly ones who are also trying to entertain to be the voice of our politics and to sort of be the face of the movement. I think that we progressives want a broader base than that.
Nicole Hemmer is our guest. She's a writer for U.S. News and World Report. Called our attention because she recently her recent article on U.S. News and World Report called "Liberals Should Give Up the Dream of a Lefty Limbaugh." Does Rush have the clout that he once had, Nicole, anymore?
That's a great question. I think that he still is quite influential. I know it seemed like in 2012 his sponsors were running away that he was losing that influence, but note that his sponsors came right back. There still is a need, I think, within
You don't hear about him as much, though, anymore. I didn't see him, quoted on TV or clips of him on TV as much anymore.
Yeah, I wonder if that is in part just because of the political news cycle. During elections, he seems to be more front and center.
Mm-hmm.
It's certainly possible that he's less influential, but I certainly think within the base he's still quite influential and still has quite an impact.
But to me, the bigger question is about the future, not just the future of progressive talk radio, but the future of radio. I mean, radio is changing, right? As a medium, is talk radio going to continue to be the phenomenon? Talk radio, at least isolated as talk radio, is that going to continue to be the powerhouse that it once was?
This is a great question because it's unclear, right? We don't have a crystal ball to see this. There are some signs that it will still continue to be quite strong. I mean, if you look at somebody like Limbaugh, who a few years ago signed an 8-year contract for $400 million, certainly investors see him and his program as something that they want to continue to invest in, that's going to continue on. But, of course, as you know, the technological changes are changing the way that this works. I mean, I think that he still remains quite popular, and conservative talk radio hosts remain quite popular on Internet talk as well, so people listening to them over their computers as opposed to their car radios. And I think that there's a habit of listening that will continue on. The question is how much that will be crowded out by other media.
Yeah, I mean, the fact is, at least our experience is, you cannot just depend on the radio alone anymore, right? It's got to be the radio plus the social media, right? Plus Twitter, plus Facebook, plus we are simulcast on Free Speech TV. Plus we have our video stream worldwide, right, on TawkrTV. It's got to be all of those platforms if I think if you really want to get the message out today.
Well, absolutely. I mean, you can't imagine a newspaper or magazine being influential today if it didn't have an online platform and an innovative online platform. So radio, of course, has to do the exact same.
Right. So do you see out there, and I'm sure you looked at this, in terms of a lefty Limbaugh, did you see any bright new stars on the horizon that we ought to know about somewhere out there, not yet nationally syndicated, who might be the next big name on progressive talk radio? We want to know who the competition is.
Yeah, come on, Nicole. What do we have to take out?
Yeah, not only have I sort of scoured the airwaves, but Politico's recently scoured them as well and talked to a lot of big names. And
Mackenzie Wenger did a great piece on Thanksgiving Day. It was a front page story on Politico. Mm-hmm.
Precisely, yes. And neither Mackenzie nor I see that next big Rush Limbaugh, but I actually think that that's okay. That what progressives have now, it will continue to grow. It will continue to, work in its ways. I don't know that there's a progressive Rush Limbaugh on the horizon, but I also don't think that that's a problem.
Mm-hmm. Now, have you heard about John Fugelsang?
No, I haven't.
Oh, he filled in for me last week. We're worried about him. We'll never let him fill in again. He was so good. Yeah, he was so good last week.
Yeah, got to keep an eye on the competition.
I'll tell you because I just want a final point here that having first chance to talk to you, if you read the Mackenzie Wenger article in Politico, she did talk to me, and I was quoted in the article as saying, I think the future of progressive talk radio does not depend on finding the next Rush Limbaugh. It depends on getting progressive investors, people with money, to do what the conservatives did and to buy TV stations and to build networks and to have our own ownership and control of enough stations that we can have a powerful force for progressive talk radio in this country. And until progressives and liberals do that, they're always going to be, second, a poor second place to conservative talk radio.
Right, and the big
That's my
question
speech.
is, can you get investors to invest in radio, especially when there's so many sexy online options for them? And that's the real challenge.
Well, it's not exclusive radio, right? It would be radio with all the online options added to it. But I think there's a great future out there, a great medium out there, and a great potential for making a lot of money. But for some reason, I have found that wealthy liberals, progressives would rather give money to candidates, right, rather than put it into building a media presence.
That's right.
And so they've always been in second place. Hey, Nicole, good work. Thank you so much for your good reporting and for your time this morning, too. Appreciate it.
Thanks so much for having me.
All right. Nicole Hemmer, again, a writer for U.S. News and World Report.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Hey, good morning, everybody. What do you say? Nice to see you today. I got to tell you a funny story. So, I was on vacation a week or so ago and met up with a couple. We were chatting over dinner one night, and the guy said to me, so, obviously, you're retired. And I said, what? I'm not retired. I said, what? You think because I've got gray hair, I'm retired? No way. I'm not going to retire because I love what I'm doing, and I really do. Look, having to get up so early to do this show is no fun, but doing the show is something that I just look forward to every single day. I mean, it's great fun getting up, getting on top of the news, having the first crack of the news every day, being able to line up all of our guests, the best guests we can find to bring to you, and then hearing from you all over the country, your calls, your comments on the news of the day. It's just the best job, I think, in the world. And it's especially great, and I especially love now, being able to do this job on Free Speech TV and joining such giants in broadcasting as Tom Hartman and Amy Goodman and the good friends over at Michael Papantonio and the others at Ring of Fire. And it's all on Free Speech TV, the kind of hard-hitting, independent, uncensored news and commentary that you get nowhere else. That's the value of Free Speech TV. But, of course, without any government funding, without any corporate funding, we depend on you to keep us going here at Free Speech TV. We work only for you. And so once again, we turn here at the end of the year to ask for your help, because without your help, we would not be on the air. And now at the end of the year is a good time to do it, because you not only help us and help everybody at Free Speech TV, but you help yourself by getting that good tax deduction. As a little incentive to help us out, a couple things to keep in mind. If you can help us with $10 a month, $120 a year, we will give you a copy of two great books. My latest one, The Obama Hate Machine, all about the Koch brothers, and Joe Cirincione, frequent guest here on the Bill Press Show, his latest book, Nuclear Nightmares, a real great book. For $20 a month, $240 a year, we'll give you three of the favorite books that I read this year, all in paperback. Norm Ornstein's book about Congress, It's Worse Than It Looks. This great little book about science by Mary Roach called Bonk, The Curious Coupling of Science and Sex. And Michael Dibdin, great mystery writer. All of his mysteries take place in Sicily, in Italy. One of my favorites is Blood Rain, that takes place in Sicily. And for those of you who can offer $360 a year or $30 a month, we'll give you three exclusive 1-hour interviews that I've conducted at the Hill Center here in Washington, D.C. And beyond that, if you're fortunate enough to be able to help Free Speech with $1,000, you can get one of these beautiful Carol Press scarves. So give us a call, make your pledge at 877-378-8669. Thank you.
You wouldn't let money just blow out of your house. So when your AC or heater is on, make sure the doors, windows, and fireplace flue are shut tight. If you're headed out, turn down the AC. or lower the heat by 10 degrees. And always keep your water heater set at 120. A little bit of common sense goes a long way. Get more great tips at energysaver.gov.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello? That's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
All right, now 10 minutes before the top of the hour. Well, it was just wrapping up what's happening here in Washington these days. Congress, yes, is back in town, although we would never do it. You would never know it because they're really not getting anything done. In fact, this Congress has now been already rated the 112th Congress, how I meant to say, has already been rated as the least productive Congress ever, and second record broken this year. This year, 2013, has now been rated as the least productive single year in Congress in the history of the United States Congress. There's no secret and no doubt about why that is happening. Congressman Chris Van Hollen, one of the Democratic leaders of the House, was here in our studio yesterday and told us what the one chief obstacle to getting anything done is.
It's a sad state of affairs, and there's no justifying the sad state of affairs. Well, you can look to see what the problem is. I mean, you've got a Tea Party that has the House of Representatives in lockdown right now and preventing us from moving forward on major pieces of legislation.
And you've got the Tea Party again, and don't want to get anything done. They pride themselves on the fact that this is the least productive session of Congress ever. And you've got a speaker who is afraid to stand up for them, but could change all of it if he wanted to. Again, Chris Van Hollen on our show yesterday.
You could dramatically change that record in 24 hours if Speaker Boehner would simply allow democracy to work its will in the House of Representatives. We could pass a comprehensive immigration bill that passed on a bipartisan basis out of the Senate. We could pass the bipartisan farm bill that came out of the United States Senate before the House of Representatives decided to gut the food and nutrition programs by $40 billion and threw that whole process into disarray. We could immediately pass legislation to prevent discrimination against gays in the workplace. We could do that bill in 24 hours if the Speaker would simply allow the House to vote.
And John Boehner yesterday was asked about it, and all he said was, no, it's not our fault. It's the Senate's fault. We passed all kinds of bills. Yeah, they in the House have passed all kinds of bills that they knew were going nowhere, like bills to repeal Obamacare, 45 of them, while the Senate has done its job passing a farm bill with a big bipartisan vote, passing a gun safety bill, passing an immigration bill, passing a budget, none of which can get out of the House because John Boehner will not stand up to the Tea Party. No doubt how bad things are today, and no doubt how to fix it. How to fix it is to get rid of these Tea Party people and get new members of Congress, both Republicans and Democrats, I would say, who come here to Washington to work together and to solve problems. That's the kind of change that we need. Question is, are the American people upset about it enough to make that change in 2014? When we come back, President Obama, busy day at the White House. We'll tell you all about it coming up.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Hey, Hey, friends and neighbors, a very special message for you this morning. Here we are, getting close to the end of the year already, and two things that, at this time of the year that all of us think about. Number one, taxes. Yeah, if you're like me and Carol, this is when you line up your favorite causes, your favorite organizations. You want to be sure to get those checks into them before the end of the year. Number one, because you like supporting good causes, but number two, because you like being able to take advantage of the tax deductions before the end of the year. And when you're thinking about your favorite causes, think Free Speech TV. Look, we depend on it, depend on you. Free Speech TV, as you know, gets no corporate money, no government money. All of our funding comes from our viewers. It's just as simple. We wouldn't be here without your support. So we ask you to step up to the plate again here at the end of the year. And the other thing, of course, people think about in December are gifts. Gifts to yourself, gift to your friends. We can combine the two. For a pledge to Free Speech TV, we'll send you gifts that you can consider end-of-the-year gifts to yourself or someone special to you. Here's how. For $120 pledge, which is $10 a month, think of it that way, copies of two great books. My latest one, The Obama Hate Machine, all about the Koch brothers and all the evil they're doing, plus a copy of Joe Cirincione, one of our favorite guests here on the Bill Press Show, Joe Cirincione's latest book from the Plowshares Fund, Nuclear Nightmares. If you can pledge $240 a month, that's $240 a year, $20 a month. The three of the favorite books that I read this year. One about Congress, Norm Ornstein's It's Worse Than It Looks. This one, my favorite science writer, Mary Roach, and her book called Bunk, The Curious Coupling of Science and Sex. Woohoo! And thirdly, my favorite mystery writer, Michael Dibdin, writes books about Italy. My favorite is Blood Rain, which takes place in Sicily. And then for $360 a month, a real special deal, and exclusive copies of 3 interviews that I conducted here at the Hill Center in Washington, D.C., 1 hour each with Mark Leibovich from the New York Times, Bishop Gene Robinson, and Senator Mary Landrieu. And for those of you who can make a very special pledge to Free Speech TV of $1,000, an extraordinary gift, here it is. Scarf, just like this one, a hand-woven scarf. This is rayon chenille. It could also be in bamboo, done by the greatest weaver in the world, my wife, Carol Press. So if you can help us, please, we love bringing you the show every day. I love getting up early in the morning, having the first crack at news and commentary with you, bringing in the best guests that we can get for you. Our regulars, Arthur Delaney, Igor Volsky, Congressman Chris Holland, other members of Congress. But again, we couldn't be here on Free Speech TV, couldn't be here with Tom Hartman and Amy Goodman, David Packman, and Ring of Fire without your help. We depend on it. So please give us a call at 877-378-8669.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Hey, we'll get an update on the Affordable Care Act, how well it's working, and where it is heading from Ron Pollock of Families USA. At the top of the next hour, then we'll be joined by Congressman John Yarmouth from Kentucky, a good friend, former talk show host himself here on the Bill Press Show in studio with us. President Obama, a busy day at the White House today, gets his daily briefing at 10 o'clock this morning. Vice President is off in the Far East, as we know. And then the President, 2 big speeches today. He'll be giving a speech on the economy at an event sponsored by the Center for American Progress at 11:15 this morning. And then this afternoon, he'll be talking to the Youth Summit at the White House about health care and the importance of buying health for young people to buy health insurance now and to get in and get that kind of protection in case anything might happen to them. This afternoon, after his speech to the Youth Summit, he'll be meeting with Secretary of the Treasury, Jack Lew, whom he meets with once a week. And we'll be back with another hour here for the Bill Press Show.
So stay with us. Show. This is the Bill Press Show.
Speaking of the Affordable Care Act, President Obama yesterday said it's never going to be repealed as long as he is president of the United States. He'll make sure of that. Hey, good morning, everybody. What do you say? Wednesday, December 4. Good to see you today. Thank you for joining us. This is the Bill Press Show. We are your local progressive talk radio station morning show, and proud to be there with you all across this great land of ours. You can also video stream the show at TawkrTV, TAWKR TV, youtube.com/TawkrTV. And good to have you with us all around the world on TawkrTV and on your local progressive talk radio station, with a lot to cover here with the news of the day from our nation's capital. That's where you find us, our studio here on Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C. And we'll let you know what's going on around the country, around the globe, and most importantly, give you a chance to sound off about it at 866-55-PRESS. The number one issue of the day continues to be, of course, I was there at the White House yesterday when the president came out on the Affordable Care Act, came out swinging and said we got a problem, that most of the problems are behind us, so now let's focus on what this act is all about. With us from the beginning through the legislative process to get the Affordable Care Act passed and now to get it implemented has been Ron Pollock from Families USA, who joins us again in studio this morning, the president of Families USA. Hey, Ron, good to see you.
Great to see you again.
I mean, boy, this has been a busy time for you and your organization. Yeah.
Well, sure. And, you know, now it's showtime. We got to make sure that the Affordable Care Act actually delivers as we think it will. For many millions of people who have been shut out of the healthcare system because they've got pre-existing conditions like asthma, diabetes, high blood pressure, hit cancer. They now can get coverage. They're going to get help. They're going to get significant subsidies to make coverage more affordable. So this is a very important time.
Yeah, absolutely. Showtime it is. And when we say showtime here, we mean the entire team. Peter Ogburn.
Hi there.
With our new producer, Elisa Murphy. Hello. Alicia Cruz here, as always, standing by to take your phone calls at 866-55-PRESS. That's our toll-free number. And if we're looking good on the video stream, thanks to Cyprian Bolding, our videographer. Ron, we'll get right into the Affordable Care Act and how you think things are going these days. First, but by the way, Peter, I just read this during the break. I have to ask you this.
Yeah.
Okay. And Ron, you may want to weigh into. Do you have any idea what the number one most popular program on CNN is today? Would it be Anderson Cooper? Let's see. Would it be the new Crossfire?
I think I know the answer.
Any idea, Ron?
If I had to guess, I'd say Anderson Cooper.
The number one program on CNN is Anthony Bourdain.
That's what I was going to say.
His news show, Parts Unknown. The number one show. Yeah, isn't that interesting? That CNN, the news network, right?
He brought a giant crowd with him when he went to CNN not so long ago.
Phenomenal celebrity star, very talented. We've had him on our show in studio twice. I'd love to get him back in.
Yeah.
We'll never get him back in again now.
Every time we try and get him in, no, I'm sorry, he's in Romania for the next 2 weeks. Or we're sorry, he's on a remote island in the middle of the Mediterranean.
Yeah.
So it's not like we can get him in that often.
So
that's fascinating.
Jeff Zucker is now saying, hey, when I look at CNN, maybe people are not hungry for news; they're hungry for more, the reason people go to the Discovery Channel or to Nat Geo, right? They want to learn, they want to be entertained. I think you'll see.
Wow.
Yeah, I think you might see more and more changes in that direction at CNN. The other thing that interests me politically, I just got to get in. We haven't had a chance to yet this morning. Is former Vice President Dick Cheney was at the press club yesterday, and he was asked about this little spat between his two daughters, Mary and Liz. Here was Cheney's take on it.
We, were surprised when there was an attack launched against Liz on Facebook.
But I find that interesting. He's saying he's surprised that Mary attacked Liz. It was really Liz that attacked Mary and her partner first, and then Heather Poe, Mary Cheney's partner, and Mary both fired back at Liz, saying, hey, wait a minute. You came to our wedding. You stayed in our house. You've taken our kids out. You've said you love us, and now suddenly you say, no, they don't have a right to get married. Yeah. Boy, it's fun to see this play out, and not so fun, I guess, to see it play out in public.
It's fun because it's the Cheneys and because they turn everybody else's personal life into public business. So,
to me, it's just one more reason why Liz Cheney has no status or no right or no qualifications to be in the United States Senate. I find myself supporting a Republican, maybe for the first time in my life. Supporting
Mike Enzi. Go, Mike, go.
All right, we got lots about the Affordable Care Act to talk about with Ron Pollock, and then Congressman John Yarmouth from Kentucky will be joining us for the second half. So, Ron, what do you see now? You're as close to this as anybody I know. The launch on October 1 was a disaster. They spent the last 2 months fixing it. What is the current status of the website, which we know is not the entire Affordable Care Act, but that's been the focus? Where are we now with the website?
Well, it's much improved, and I think the administration has turned a corner on that, and that means that many people are going to get enrolled. It's very important to remember that there are still about 4 months left in this first enrollment period. Mm-hmm. By the way, every subsequent enrollment period in future years is only 2 months. So we have twice as long to get people enrolled. So what's very important and what the president is doing is undertaking a major public education campaign, getting back to the basics of what the Affordable Care Act does. And there still are many millions of people who will benefit or could benefit from the Affordable Care Act who don't know it. Mm-hmm. And so this public education campaign is designed to help people understand how it will help them and their families. So I think it is likely to encourage people to get enrolled.
Now, yesterday, I was there in the White House when the president held an event, a healthcare event, really the purpose of which was to try to relaunch, right, and to get the focus back on what the Affordable Care Act is all about. And President Obama, he began by reminding people, look, this is why we get into this fight in the first place.
We took up a fight because we believe that in America, nobody should have to worry about going broke just because of somebody in their family or they got sick.
Pretty basic. And he also said, unfortunately, for the last 2 months, we've been distracted by these problems with the website, but now let's refocus.
Our poor execution in the first couple months on the website clouded the fact that there are a whole bunch of people who stand to benefit.
Yep, 41 million Americans, as you pointed out earlier. So my question to you is, this in effect is an attempt to relaunch, right? Is it going to work?
Oh, I think it is going to work because you know, it was really interesting that even when the website was having problems, there were metrics about how many people were calling in or trying to get on the website. And that is actually a very important metric because it gives you an indication of who and how many people are really interested in getting some improvements.
Have always wanted to have health insurance for their families and now have an opportunity. Right?
That's right. And in the first couple of days in October, about 27 million people went to the website. Another 3 million people went to the toll-free phone number, 30 million people. So I would have been much more worried if there wasn't any interest, if people weren't calling in and weren't expressing, you know, this is something I really need. So now we know that there is this really pent-up demand to try to get significant help that hadn't been there before. So when the mechanics, when the technology works, now people can get connected, now people can get enrolled. And so my prediction is that at the end of this enrollment period, which ends on March 31, we're going to see more people enrolled than all the projections had been. You know, the Congressional Budget Office has said that 7 million people.
7 million people, yeah.
I believe it's going to be much larger than that.
Really? That they'll not only meet that goal but exceed it.
I do.
But again, I think it's important to point out, this is not the administration's goal. This is a projection by the CBO.
That's correct. Right. And by the way, that doesn't include lots of people who are going to be enrolled, and a significant number have been enrolled already for the expanded Medicaid program. There are 25 states that have decided to implement the Medicaid expansion. And yesterday, the Department of Health and Human Services released statistics about how many people got enrolled in the past month, and it was over 1.5 million. And about 2.5 million had actually applied, about 1.5 million actually got enrolled. So I think when you combine these numbers about people who are getting into these new marketplaces with private insurance plans, most of them getting tax credit premium subsidies, and others getting coverage through expansion of Medicaid, I think this is going to be an extraordinary number of people.
The critics of Obamacare, of course, who have tried everything they can possibly over the last 3 years to derail this or defund it, deny its legitimacy, haven't given up, right? They took it to the Supreme Court. They voted 45 times to repeal it in the House. Yesterday was the latest court challenge here in Washington, D.C. On what grounds?
Well, I was in the courthouse, and we had Families USA actually filed a so-called amicus brief in that case. So the folks who are trying to derail the Affordable Care Act are claiming that it is a violation of the Affordable Care Act for the Internal Revenue Service to provide these tax credit premium subsidies in the 36 states where the states are not running the marketplaces, but the federal government is doing so. This is a desperation move. I liken this to someone throwing a desperate Hail Mary pass with a deflated football. I don't think it is going to succeed, but they have filed lawsuits in 4 different federal district courts. The first hearing was yesterday. The next one is going to be in Richmond, Virginia. There's suits filed.
By the way, this was part of the law passed by Congress, right?
That's right. And you know
so, how can they claim that?
Well, it is ironic that those who have been trying to derail the Affordable Care Act to get it repealed are saying we want to uphold the intentions of Congress, and Congress did not want tax credit premium subsidies to be provided in states where the states have not chosen to implement this directly, but rather have the federal government is doing it. And, if you talk to any of the folks who are involved in crafting the legislation, their eyes just roll because there certainly never was any intention to treat people who need help in different states differently.
Well, these people will never give up. They will never accept the legitimacy of the Affordable Care Act. The critics will not. Do you believe that we're at a point right now where we could say that Obamacare is here to stay?
Oh, yes. I certainly believe it. And, the president said, and it's quite obvious, that any attempt to try to repeal it or derail it or defund it is not going to happen as long as he's president. That takes us through 2016. And in that period, we're going to see many millions of people gaining coverage. They will get enrolled. Now, it's a very different political thing to say we're going to withhold something from you that you never had before. It's another thing to say now we're going to take something away that has a real benefit to you.
Now, the president talked a little bit about this yesterday, and I want to ask you about it. Because let's follow that thought through. If they were to succeed in taking Obamacare away, right? Away, and then what are we left with?
We're left with...
where are we, right?
We're left with the tremendous problems that actually...
we go back to the way things used to be?
Yes, and we're going and we would have increasing numbers of people who are uninsured. The costs of health care will continue to skyrocket. One of the things we've seen is that health care costs have been significantly decelerated to historically low levels. Now, nobody's saying that this is all due to the Affordable Care Act. Some of this has to do with what's happened with the economy. But clearly the Affordable Care Act has played some role in it. And so I think we will see a huge acceleration of health care costs, more and more people uninsured. The people who need health care the most with pre-existing conditions are going to be denied coverage, as they had been in the past by insurance companies. I don't think anyone wants to go back to that.
Yeah, because Mitch McConnell and Boehner and others who want to get rid of the Affordable Care Act have never come up with any alternative to it. Anything else saying, well, if it's not this, then here's our plan. If it's not this, then it is back to the way it used to be, which I don't think anybody wants. Ron Pollock, we're here with us, President of Families USA, the lead organization in trying to inform Americans about what the Affordable Care Act does and encourage them to sign up. And he says we have turned the corner now on the Affordable Care Act. We're into implementation now, no longer just fixing problems on the website. Do you agree? What's been your experience? 866-55-PRESS. We'll be right back.
On your radio, on TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show. TawkrTV, this is the Bill Press Show.
Here we go at 26 minutes after the hour. Congressman John Yarmouth from Kentucky rolling in here into the studio in the next half hour right now. We're talking about the Affordable Care Act. Progress has been made, and this new refocus now on, okay, we got the website humming. Now let's talk about where we're going and how we can get those 41 million Americans who've never had health insurance before to sign up. And that's been a lot of your focus and encouragement, Ron. There were reports that the administration asked you and other organizations to hold back. Don't tell people to sign up because they might go to the website and there'd be problems with the website. Is that true?
Well, we were never asked to hold back. Clearly, there has been some concern that as soon as the website was essentially fixed, that there'd be a spike in the number of people who would go on the website. But, it's worked pretty well in, these first few days. And
so what is your message to people today?
Learn about what you can get out of the Affordable Care Act. Learn about how you can get tax credit premium subsidies that will be worth thousands of dollars. And that's going to reduce your premium costs like never before. And for many people, it's also going to be help provided for deductibles and co-payments and other out-of-pocket costs when you get care.
And you do that by going to the website, right?
You go to the website, and anybody with income below 400% of the federal poverty level, that's for a family of four.
It's about $100,000.
$94,200 for an individual living alone. That's $46,000. You're eligible for subsidies in the thousands of dollars. They average over $5,000 for a family. And so this is a huge reduction in what you used to feel you had to pay as premiums.
Mm-hmm. So this is a huge opportunity. Everybody should take advantage of it right now. 95% of the time the website is working, so go there and find out. Right?
And young adults will benefit because they are in entry-level jobs. They have lower incomes. They'll get higher subsidies.
All right. Ron Pollock with you. Families USA is familiesusa.com. Great job, Ron.
.org.
.org, I'm sorry. Showtime. Showtime.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Okay, 33 minutes after the hour here on this Wednesday morning, December 4. Coming to you live from our nation's capital, brought to you today by the International Association of Iron Workers. Good men and women of the Iron Workers Union under President Walter Wise. The sky is the limit for them, you bet, with their good work. And you can find out more about what they're up to across the country, the great projects that they're building at their website, www.ironworkers.org. Well, Congress is back in town. That's one of the biggest secrets maybe around. But it's no secret what they're getting done, which is like nothing, unfortunately. No fault of the Democrats. John Boehner and the Tea Party people don't want to get anything done. Congressman John Yarmouth, right in the middle of it, representing the good people of Kentucky, joining us in studio this morning. Good friend of the program, Congressman. Always good to see you.
Good to see you, Bill.
Thank you. We've been talking with Ron Pollock. I want to continue because we were talking with Ron Pollock from Families USA, familiesusa.org, who told us he is convinced that they've turned the corner now on the Affordable Care Act. They got most of the problems with the website fixed, and now the focus again is on where it ought to be, what the act provides for millions and millions of Americans. Do you agree we turned the corner?
Well, I think so. Clearly, the biggest obstacle we had was getting people the opportunity to see what the benefits of the act were or are. And now that they can get on the website, now that they can shop without having to go through an elaborate enrollment process, I think we're going to see definitely a change in attitude and a focus on the real benefits. The other thing that I think is really important and why I think we've turned the corner is now the insurance companies will enter the fray. I mean, they will be actively marketing their products. They'll be out there advertising, and they will be partners with the government now in terms of making sure that what the so-called back end of the system works, because they want to make sure they get every customer they can. So people are concerned about that, and I think we should be concerned that the follow-up, once people enroll online, that all the information that gets to the insurance company and the billing and those tax subsidies and whatever there may be. But the insurance companies are going to be very active in making sure that happens.
And that back end is important because the insurance companies have to know who signed up, what their information is, and also what subsidy they might have qualified for, so they know how to price a plan and to get people actually enrolled so they can start to enjoy the benefits.
Exactly, getting them their insurance card and so forth. So, but again, they've got the resources out there that they can mobilize to make sure that happens. So it won't be just the government trying to make sure pushing this monster up the hill. They'll have help.
So we've spent the last 2 months fixing the federal healthcare.gov website. Why didn't we just turn it over to Kentucky to begin with?
That would have been good.
How's it going in Kentucky?
Kentucky is just doing a phenomenal job. It's amazing what a commitment to making something work can mean, and that's really what it was. This is Governor Beshear and his administration and his team making a commitment from day one that they were going to make this work well for Kentuckians. So far, we have more than 60,000 people enrolled in insurance.
Actually, enrolled, not just visiting the site.
Enrolled. Oh, we've had almost 600,000 people that have visited the site, and this is in a state of 4.4 million. So we've had over 350,000 that have actually gone on and essentially begun the application process, signed up for an account and so forth. We have about 23,000 or more now that have actually been approved for some kind of subsidy. They know they're going to get a subsidy. They just haven't picked their plan yet. So those are all in the private insurance portion of it, not Medicaid. And over 1,000 small businesses have begun the process to enroll too. So it's been a phenomenal success so far. And what it shows is there's incredible demand for the benefits of the act. And we're seeing that now with the response on the federal website.
What's interesting to me is that you had, granted, these are only people from one state, but there were as many elements of buying health insurance in Kentucky as there are anywhere else in the country. So you had to have, the IRS involved and Medicaid or Medicare and the insurance, it's all those facts they say that made it so complicated on the federal level was also complicated on the state level. What did you do? Hire a better firm?
Well, interestingly enough, the one firm that has gotten the most negative publicity, CGI, and the national one is a subcontractor in Kentucky. So they're doing they're playing their role very effectively in Kentucky.
Maybe as a subcontractor, yeah.
Subcontractor. But the big problem here is we had 36 states, and when you're doing what Kentucky did, you're doing with 36 states through one site, and all these 36 states speak different languages. So you've got different language Medicaid offices and different insurance commissioners' offices in all these 36 states. That's a very, very difficult task. It probably would have been better for the federal government to go in and say, do 36 individual ones. Mm-hmm. That might have been, in retrospect, that might have been easier to do.
Right. Congressman John Yarmuth again with us here, representing which district in Kentucky?
Third district.
Third district.
I have Louisville, Kentucky, nothing outside of Louisville. I have a wonderful compact district so the mayor and I have virtually the same constituency.
Is that right?
Yeah. Out of 720,000 people, the mayor and I have, out of 750,000 people, the mayor and I have about 720,000 common constituents. So
that's an unusual district.
It really
is. The firm gerrymander, right?
Well, it makes it really easy.
Applied,
I have one big government, one school system, one transit system, and some of these members represent 25 counties and 25 different small governments. I don't know how they do it.
All right, representing the city of Louisville, Kentucky here, he is Congressman John Yarmuth. So now the president yesterday, and I was there at the White House, where he kind of tried to relaunch. And a lot of people were saying it was so bad October 1 with so many problems on the website, and you only get one chance to make a good first impression, and that they blew it and they would never get it back. Can they relaunch, and can they get people's confidence back again, do you believe, in the Affordable Care Act and in government in general?
Well, I think that's going to be difficult, but I don't think that the relaunch of the Affordable Care Act is going to come from the White House. I think it's going to come from the people. And just as it is in Kentucky, people will tell their neighbors, and one small business person will tell another, and they'll say, hey, you ought to check this out. This is really good stuff. And that's what's ultimately going to sell the Affordable Care Act, and plus the experience of actually getting the benefits and being able to get care, as many seniors have for the last 3 years now, and many people with younger adult children who've been able to keep them on their policies, and people who have been able to get coverage for their kids with pre-existing conditions. All of those experiences now will multiply, and that's what I think will relaunch the Affordable Care Act. The president will have a credibility problem, but you know what? Everybody has a credibility affordability problem right now. There's what was that the poll the other day that we don't trust anybody, and I think that's been a kind of a societal issue for some time now.
Now, I know there's a lot of concern, friends of mine, Democratic members of Congress that I talked to, that of the political implications of the Affordable Care Act, that they're looking ahead to 2014, which is just around the corner, and they're thinking, oh my God, with all these problems, and I've got to go out and defend this damn thing, having voted for it and supported it all along, and now they screwed it up, and I've got to go out and defend it. Are those problems still exist, or do you think Democrats will be able to, in 2014, say, yeah, I'm proud to be a supporter of the Affordable Care Act, it's working, and I'm there, and I've been there from the beginning?
Well, I think things will be a lot better next summer than they are now. I don't think there's any question about that. I think it will be a much lighter weight around candidates next. A lot of it will depend on where you are. If you're in Kentucky, obviously it's going to be easy to defend the act. If you're in a place like Oklahoma or Georgia, where the administrations of those states basically set out to sabotage the program, and they didn't expand Medicaid, and it's going to be a miserable experience, you might have a little bit harder time. But you know what I think our message should be right now, anybody who's running against somebody who takes on the Affordable Care Act, is what's your alternative? The president broached that subject yesterday. We're not going back. And we have to constantly say, the Republicans don't have an alternative. If you think tort reform and selling insurance across state lines is going to solve all the problems we had before 2010, you're absolutely out of your mind. So it'll be an issue, but I don't think it'll be nearly as tough a case to make, again, next summer and fall.
No, you're right. The president did make that point very strongly yesterday, saying, remember, when they say we want to get rid of it, they got nothing to put in its place. So it would be going back to the days when the insurance companies won't sell because of a pre-existing condition, drop you if you happen to have too serious an illness, charge women double what they charge men, on and on and on and on.
For something like 7 million seniors, it would mean that they want to essentially increase your taxes by $1,000, because your prescription drugs would end up costing you $1,000 more if you repeal it, and all the preventive care that's now being provided at no cost. So they're vulnerable on this issue as well, and they were in charge of Congress for a long time and never did anything about health care.
Congressman John Yarmuth here from Louisville, Kentucky, here in the studio, who says that the Affordable Care Act is now up and running. You can trust it, and you could have trusted Kentucky's. What's your plan called again?
Connect, K-Y-N-E-C-T.
Connect. You could trust that from the very beginning. Join us at 866-55-PRESS. We'll be right back with a good congressman here on the Bill Press Show.
This is the Bill Press Show. streaming live video right now at youtube.com/TawkrTV. That's TAWKR-TV. This is The Bill Press Show.
Here we go at 12 minutes before the top of the hour in studio with Congressman John Yarmuth from Kentucky. A little chilly in the studio this morning. Those of you who are watching the video stream can see that I'm taking care of that by wearing a beautiful hand-woven scarf by my wife, Carol Press, the greatest weaver in the world.
Wow, that is nice.
Isn't
That's
it
beautiful, yeah.
Beautiful. Love the colors. It's a rayon chenille scarf. If you want to maybe think of one for yourself, check out our website at BillPressShow.com. Upper right-hand corner, you'll see the link to Carol Press scarves, and you can see all the different patterns and colors and shapes that she's got available. And just think might make a good holiday present for yourself or someone special in your life as well. I'm proud to be wearing one. So, Congressman, congratulations. We've not yet reached the end of the 112th Congress, but the Congress is already ranked as the least productive session of Congress in history. And 2013 has already been declared the least productive single year in the history of the United States Congress. What's wrong with you guys? I mean, why can't you get something done?
Well, of course, there are many answers. One, of course, is this is a split government right now, and whatever the House passes is it's difficult for the Senate to stomach, and vice versa. But I think there is a difference, and I think what's happening, maybe the best way illustration is immigration reform. The Senate,
which you were very involved with. You were on that gang of 7 or 8 or whatever it was.
875, I called it. It started at 8, then it went to 7, then it went to 5. But the Senate worked together. They came up with a compromise. They got a bipartisan bill, and they got it out. In the House, we could do that. We could do it tomorrow. That we know that there are 230 or 40 votes easily for comprehensive immigration reform. But the extreme elements of the Republican Party are determining the agenda. So in the case of this dynamic, the House will not do anything that can pass the Senate. Time after time after time, they have chosen to bring the most extreme provision form of a particular bill to the floor. Even when they had a good bipartisan compromise to bring to the floor, like the Farm Bill, which was diligently worked out between Frank Lucas and Colin Peterson and the members of the Ag Committee, what did they do? The first thing they got to the floor, they put an amendment on to cut $20 billion worth of food stamps, guaranteeing, once again, that it couldn't pass the House even, and it certainly couldn't pass the Senate. So that's really what's happened is in our body in the House, basically the extremists are running the show, and the only thing they will bring to the floor are things that can't possibly pass the Senate.
Now, Speaker Boehner was asked about this yesterday, and he said, come on, we've done our job. It's the Senate's fault. Here he is.
Well, when you look at the number of bills passed by the House and the paltry number of bills passed by the Senate, you can see where the problem is.
There it is, the paltry number of bills passed by the Senate. And yet the Senate has passed, as you pointed out, an immigration bill, right? They passed a farm bill. They passed a budget. I think they passed ENDA, I'm pretty sure,
yes.
Right?
Yes.
All of those languishing in the House.
Right.
So why doesn't Speaker Boehner bring these up for a vote?
Well, I think you can probably make a case that both sides aren't bringing up for a vote, but there's a difference there that neither Harry Reid nor John Boehner will bring a lot of stuff up for a vote. There's a difference. In the Senate, Harry Reid knows that these things can't pass, so he's not wasting time. In the House, John Boehner knows that they can pass, and he doesn't want, and he's scared to let them pass because of his extreme right. So that's why what John said was disingenuous.
So actually, one man could change the reputation or the record of the 112th Congress.
Absolutely,
correct?
No question about it. And when anybody comes to me who's involved in the immigration issue and says, "Who should I talk to?" I said, "There's only one person to talk to. It's John Boehner." And nobody disagrees with that inside the House. He's the only person that matters right now, and that's true in a number of cases. If he wanted to bring things to the floor, we could get him passed. We could get him passed with a bipartisan vote.
What's it going to take to change it?
Well, I think it's going to be him realizing that his legacy, if he wants one, will be one that requires him to kind of marginalize his Tea Party element and not basically submit to whatever they want. That's the critical dynamic right now. On vote after vote after vote, we saw it during the whole government shutdown thing. There were Republicans who were really responsible, people like Charlie Dent in Pennsylvania and others, who understood how silly this was and that it was not in the best interest of the country, and wanted to do something where they passed something with 220 votes, but it was 20 Republicans and the rest Democrats. They were okay with that. John needs to come to that conclusion as well.
Yeah, to stop serving the minority and think about the majority party, those people who really do want to solve problems. I guess Republicans and Democrats.
Otherwise, as people say, it's 40 Tea Party people who are holding it hostage, but there's another 100 Republicans who don't want to be replaced by people like that 40. And that's the dynamic he's living with. And obviously, hopefully, the election will change that.
Yes, hopefully we can get some changes in 2014. Hey, Congressman, always good to see you. Thank you for coming in. Congratulations again on your record in Kentucky.
I appreciate that, and I will check out the scars.
All right, you got it. Hear that, Carol? Here he comes. Hey, thank you, sir, and I'll be back with a parting shot.
This is the Bill Press Show. The Parting Shot with Bill Press. This is the Bill Press Show.
Well, as we know, for the last couple of months, the White House has been playing defense, reeling from the disastrous launch of healthcare.gov and trying to reassure people that they would get those problems fixed. But now the White House is back on offense. As of yesterday, President Obama came out swinging. One of the strongest speeches I've ever heard him give. He acknowledged, there were some problems with the launch, but they'd been fixed. And now he said it was important to stop focusing on problems with the website and start focusing instead on all the good things that Obamacare is doing. He was determined. If I have to fight another 3 years to make sure the law works, then that's what I'll do, he pledged. And he was defiant. We're not going back, he promised. We're not repealing it as long as I am president. It was good to hear the president so strong on Obamacare. And I got to tell you, if President Obama keeps fighting like that, there is no doubt that Obamacare is here to stay and Obamacare is going to work. That's my parting shot for today, folks. That's the show for today. Have a great Wednesday. Come back and see us again tomorrow morning.
This is the Bill Press Show.